across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
There you are. Good evening and welcome to the Political Asylum right here on Talk. I'm Kevin O'Sullivan and I'll be with you for 3 hours of breaking news, challenging views and topical debate all the way to 10 o'clock. Get it off your chest, get on the phone and call me on 03444991000, or you can WhatsApp voice note me on the same number and I promise to play your message out. That's 03444991000. I look forward to hearing from you. It is Thursday, July the 3rd. Here's what's coming up. The truth about Rachel's tears. Is anyone really buying the personal matter excuse? I'm not. Are you? 03444991000. Was this weeping woman crying because she's tanked the economy and two-tier Keir just made her job impossible? Are we really supposed to swallow that Reeves's emotional breakdown in the Commons was utterly unconnected with Starmer's humiliating welfare bill climb down and the fact she will now have to break her solemn promise not to raise taxes again? If you believe Labour's feeble fairy tale, I've got some swampland in Florida to sell you. 03444991000. But while Rachel looked unconsolably sad, just a couple of feet away, Angela Raina was a portrait of pure happiness. With Reeves finished and Starmer a dead leader walking, the Deputy Prime Minister fancies her chances. If you think two-tier's bad, wait until Raina takes over. Oh my God, it doesn't even bear thinking about. What do you reckon to Big Ange running the show? 03444991000. In other news, the small boat foreigners chalk up big crime figures. Cross-channel migrants are 24 times more likely to be in prison than Brits. A shocking 1 in 30 of the mostly young men who sail over from France and break into the UK end up behind bars. Maybe we should try and find out a bit about these people before we just let them into the country, as opposed to not knowing a damn thing. How mad is that? 03444991000. Plus, the alarming scale of the ongoing rape gang scandal has been exposed by the fact that one police force alone right now is currently investigating more than 1,000 suspects, many of whom, of course, are Muslim men of Pakistani heritage. This single probe involves 714 new victims. The worst sex crime scandal in British history, folks, is far from over. 03444991000. And also the farcical asylum seeker hotel fiasco. In a frantic bid to clear the hotels, as promised by that woman Reeves again, desperate councils are offering landlords massive lump sum cash payments and expensive full property refurbs if they agree to accommodate migrants. Isn't this just moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic? So if you were worried about your local migrant hotel, chances are that pretty soon they'll be living next door to you. Won't this chaotic asylum hotel exodus make matters even worse? 03444991000. And finally, Kinsey Schofield is standing by with all the latest news from Planet Meghan. Hideously overpriced Chateau Meg rosé wine, anyone? No, me neither. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Thursday night together. And for the next hour, I'm thrilled to be joined by the senior fellow at the New Culture Forum, Philip Kilsley. Welcome, Philip.
Hi, Kev. Nice to see you again.
Just got to make a couple of announcements. First of all, later on at 8 o'clock, Dr. René Hunderkamp will be in the studio for another hour of Call Dr. René. You know the drill. If you're not feeling very well, you can't get to see your GP, you got problems with the NHS, unhappy with your treatment, or you just, as I say, you just don't feel very well, call Dr. René on 0344 499 1000. She's here to help. Doesn't have to be you, could be a friend, could be a loved one, a partner, a wife, a husband. 0344 499 1000. And one other story, I'm going to discuss this with Dr. René Hunderkamp because I'm a serious journalist and I like to do the serious stories. We're going to talk about Katie Price's face. She said, what are you laughing at? No,
I just wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about it if you don't shut up. that'll stump you. No, she seems to me, she's had so many surgeries on her face. You know that woman Jocelyn Wildenstein, known as the Bride of Wildenstein, who had so much surgery that she ended up looking absolutely hideous. This is what happens. There she is. This is what happens to plastic surgery addicts. Actually, that was in her better phase. She got much worse than this, if you're looking on the telly. They reach a certain point where it's as if the hand of God no longer sculpted their face. The hand of surgeons sculpt their face, and at that point it falls off a cliff. I mean, look at her now. It's just not good. Thing about surgeons is they're very skillful, but they're not Leonardo da Vinci. And that's why I think at a certain point, if you have too many plastic surgery operations on your face, it kind of hurtles downhill. We'll talk about that later. I mean, there is a serious side to this because too many people get plastic surgery and too many plastic surgeons are prepared to take people like Katie Price's money, and I don't think they should. But OK, let's get down to the real business of the show. So, Philip, you're on now. Now that we've finished with Katie Price, let's talk about the ongoing massive story, the business of Rachel Reeves crying in the House of Commons yesterday, and it cannot be just brushed aside. Oh, she's upset. In a way, the reason for her tears, and we all have more than suspicions, and we know why she was crying. It's not a personal issue. It's because her job, her career is falling apart at the seams. But the point is, the reason in the end is not that relevant to it's the fact that she's crying. Now, the economy, Philip, was already in trouble, right? She's on resignation watch because Tuesday night, the welfare bill fiasco. Her job, her mandate was to save £5 billion on a grotesque £300 billion general welfare bill. She needed to save $5 billion. In fact, many people say we actually need to save about $20 billion. But Liz Kendall whittled it down to $5 billion, which was supposed to be acceptable to the left-wing backbenchers, but of course wasn't. So Starmer had to keep capitulating until, to get that bill through, he had to turn by an hour before, or a couple of hours before, the savings were down to less than $1 billion. And then his final capitulation, which we understand he didn't even tell Rachel or Liz Kendall about, turned the alleged savings into an increase of £100 million. Now, what I think, I'm pretty certain, what she's crying about, old Rachel Reeves, is she knows now the only way to save this country from bankruptcy will be to renege on her solemn promise not to raise taxes. She's going to have to raise taxes. We understand, and you can take it to the bank that it's almost certainly true because Keir Starmer has denied it, that they had a stand-up row just before Prime Minister's question time. But I think what's annoying me at the moment, and a lot of other people, is the way, once again, this awful party, these children, the Labour Party, the Labour government, are gaslighting the nation, saying, no, it's a personal matter. It's just not true, is it?
It's not true, and it's the stupidest strategy they could possibly employ, because the last thing we want is a Chancellor of the Exchequer crying in the Houses of Parliament because she's obsessed with her personal life. You know, nobody wants that.
Except it's not a personal life.
It's not a personal life, but it's just it's the strategy. It's
Yeah,
just
that could be even worse. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
It's just they are so silly. But this is, she fashions herself. You know, she calls herself the Iron Chancellor. She's anything.
Not anymore.
She's anything but. You know, she is promoted way beyond her ability. I get the impression she's there because she's a woman, because of this, because of that. It's typical left-wing stuff. It's all about identity. It isn't about ability, and this is where it gets us. If you look at all of the institutions, all the people that run it are there because they're black, they're LGBTQI+, they identify as a horse on Tuesdays and Thursdays, you know, that kind of thing. And all of our institutions...
Wouldn't it be nice if they brought in ability as a reason for getting the job?
This is it, you see, because all of our institutions are failing, and we see it here. Now, you know you're in a mess when the Chancellor is crying. You know, we are in catastrophe. And they're talking, the figures they're talking about, Kev, they're talking about 5 billion, which they're not going to save now, and as you say, it's 100
going
million,
up by 100 million.
100 million up. But we're talking about, you know, a bill for welfare of somewhere in the region of 200 billion pounds.
Yeah.
So the 5 billion is peanuts in the broader scale of things, and now it's nothing at all minus.
Exactly. If you actually go back historically, Liz Kendall, the Work and Pension Secretary, her mission was to try to make at least £10 billion worth of savings, more if possible. But the noises off from the Labour Party made it clear to her that she's going to have to water down the potential savings as much as possible. That came down to £5 billion, but then, of course, the lefties on the back bench, we're not in the Labour Party to cut benefits, to cut welfare. So she realised that it was going to have to come down. Starmer realised it was going to have to come down. He turned it. He kept saying it's not a vote of confidence, but because he kept saying that, it became a vote of confidence. Yeah. He was obsessed with getting it through as a sign of his authority. Well, he got it through, but he only got it through by capitulating beyond belief, so that there were no savings. In fact, there's an increase. And, of course, that has not confirmed his authority. It has confirmed quite the reverse. Yeah. I've got to just say one thing. I had Isabel Oakeshott on the show last night, and how she was 10 years, I think, in the lobby. She knows how the lobby works. And this is to go back to why was she crying? It was a personal issue. She said, look, if it was Rachel's Uncle Harry died of cancer the night before, or a dog died, or something like that, what would the way the system works is the party whip, the chief whip, or someone senior in the party would approach all the political editors and say, listen, this is the story. She doesn't want it out there, but, you know, she's absolutely distraught because Uncle Harry died last night. And accordingly, the lobby journalists would have given her a hard time. That did not happen. So I think you can take it as read. She doesn't have a personal issue. This is because she's tanked the economy, and Starmer has made her life impossible. Keir Starmer, he steered clear of talk when he came to this building just down the corridor here this morning. Can't think why. I mean, what's the matter with him? He doesn't like Mike Graham, he doesn't like Julia Holly-Brewer, or even me. What's wrong with him? He didn't even go to Times Radio. He went to Virgin Radio to talk to my excellent colleague, Chris Evans, and here he is parroting that ridiculous excuse that these Labour idiots expect us to believe.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Rachel. I've obviously talked to her, and it was a personal matter. And given it's a personal matter, it's not for me then to breach Rachel's privacy on it. It's got actually, contrary to what people may think, nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with the ups and downs of this week, or her relationship with anybody in the Labour Party. Purely personal. But what I would say is, she is an excellent Chancellor. She will be Chancellor for a very long time to come, into the next election and beyond it. And she and I are absolutely committed to our fiscal rules and the economic stability that is so important for this country.
translation of that, she's gone in a month. Yes, he went on to... by the way, they've war-gamed that, haven't they? How can we get out of this Rachel crime? Right, let's say it's a personal matter. Yes, that'll work. That'll work. Everybody go out and say it was a personal matter. Old Rachel herself is out today. We're going to have a look at her in a minute. She's got so much makeup on, covering up the tracks of her tears. She looks like Coco the Clown. But Starmer, his famous emotional empathy firing on all cylinders, while she's sobbing behind him, he didn't notice. At least he says he didn't. Here's Keir, two-tier Keir, talking to Chris again.
I actually personally didn't even appreciate it was happening in the chamber, because I came in and I've got questions being fired at me and PMQs, and so I'm sort of constantly up at the dispatch box and down. I think we just need to be clear. It's a personal matter, and I'm not going to breach Rachel's privacy by going into what's a personal matter for her.
Personal matter. It's a personal matter. It's a personal matter. Did I say it's a personal matter? You're lying, Starmer, and everybody knows it. And finally, for our little films, this is Rachel Reeves earlier today, explaining why she was sobbing like a kid in the Commons yesterday.
Well, clearly I was upset yesterday, and everyone could see that. It was a personal issue, and I'm not going to go into the details of that. But my job as Chancellor at 12 o'clock on a Wednesday is to be at PMQs next to the Prime Minister, supporting the government, and that's what I try to do. I guess the thing that maybe is a bit different between my job and many of your viewers is that when I'm having a tough day, it's on the telly, and most people don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, well, which do you prefer, by the way, Philip? A personal matter or personal issue? Well, it's a tough one, isn't it?
It's a tough one because they're so incredibly different. One of the things that I look at that and I notice, so she's at one end of the spectrum, she's devastated and in tears and barely holding it together. Then the next day she's got this ridiculous kind of skull-like smile plastered to her face. And I just get the word unstable about everything. They're personally unstable, the economy's unstable, the government's unstable, the country's unstable. All of that stuff just comes together with this clown show of a government.
That's exactly what it is.
And it just feels as though, like I say, we're at the back end of catastrophe here. And watching Angela Raina...
That's exactly what I want to talk about now. Can I just talk to my production team for a second? Is everybody paying attention? Good. Can we get some pictures of Angela Raina just a few feet away from sobbing Rachel Reeves, because we're going to see a kind of marked difference in their expressions. No, she looked like the cat that got the cream. She is loving this, old Ange.
Well, there's obviously a kind of opportunity here for her, but if you think that it's bad now under Keir Starmer, then, you know, we're looking at someone who can't string a sentence together. We're looking at someone...
We're looking at someone very left-wing.
We're looking at someone incredibly left-wing who is aligned to all of these all of these values that have sunk the country, essentially, you know. But we are looking at someone who's been promoted because of who and what she is, and it doesn't have anything to do with her ability. So it's always the same stuff. This is university politics. This is left-wing adolescence, and this is the reason we're in the terrible situation we are in.
And by the way, she's the one who got Starmer out of a hole, because she actually negotiated this final deal, the final climb down, which, just to reiterate, took the initial target of saving $5 billion to increasing our bill by 100 million, and that was the only way that those 130 left-wing Labour rebels would vote that through. Now, the net result of this, now Angela is on manoeuvres big time. Her team think that Keir's gone within a year and she will take over, and that really doesn't bear thinking about, does it?
Well, I mean, I can't help but think about quality. And in my lifetime, people like Margaret Thatcher, you know, people like Michael Foot, I completely disagree with his politics, but Michael Foot was eloquent and a great intellect. Let's be clear here, we are talking about Angela Raina, for God's sake, and we are thinking about that this woman might one day be Prime Minister.
Honestly, it's staggering. You know, this isn't about stereotyping a working class woman who didn't go to university. There's nothing wrong with that, and a lot of working class women who didn't go to university are as sharp as a pin. Angela Raina isn't one of them. That's the problem.
Well, she's from around where I'm from. She's from Greater Manchester, so she's from exactly the same place. We're from similar backgrounds, actually. I'm from a working class background as well. It isn't about class and it isn't about intelligence. It literally, well, it is about intelligence, but it's literally about her being promoted because of who and what she is. And this is the problem. This is why we always fall into this same hole. We've had it for years and years. This is why we need a revolution in what we do.
Right, we've got the picture up now. I was going to do the expression myself. It's kind of like this. Like that. So let's have a look at her again. If you're watching on there, look at her. She is so chipper, isn't she? So you've got Rachel sobbing on the right. You've got appropriately beaming Angela on the left, very much on the left, and you've got the Prime Minister, no idea that he's at the centre of two women at war there. But she is loving every second of it, old Raina.
I mean, she's Machiavellian, isn't she? That's the word that comes to mind. But it also looks like some really bad 1970s domestic soap opera there, you know, with the two women in his life arguing, and it just feels as though it's a farce. It's actually really quite embarrassing, isn't it? You know,
it isn't. But look, folks, you've got. I mean, incredible though it seems, you have to take this seriously about Raina. She's got a whole team working on this. She really does fancy her chances, and she's letting it be known, or her team Ange, are letting it be known that they believe that within a year Starmer will be gone. And he certainly, as I said in my monologue, he seems like a dead leader walking to me. And Rachel Reeves, it reminds me of, you know, the football managers where the football managers where the directors offer the manager their full support. You know that the next day they'll get sacked. So that is the story. That you know, Starmer may not last long. Rachel Reeves certainly won't. She's got to go. She'll have to go. But in the meantime, who's going to step into this void? It's going to be Angela Raina. So let me know what you think. I mean, this isn't a joke. It seems like it, but we could seriously end up with Angela Raina as Prime Minister. Your thoughts? 034. The producer's laughing her head off.
You've got to be serious now.
It's not. It is serious, folks. It's serious. So let me know what you think. 0344 499 1000. When we come back, small boats, big crime statistics. Stay tuned.
No way that a government can continue with a Chancellor who is blubbing in the House of Commons and comes up with spurious answers to questions about this, saying it's a personal matter. Now, it would have to be a personal matter on the scale of something catastrophic involving a family, children or something of that sort, to provoke that sort of response. And they're not saying anything like that. This is entirely due to Keir Starmer, who has all the sensitivity of a rhinoceros. I mean, Starmer is emotionally constipated.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's talk about the migrant crisis yet again. Another 178 came across yesterday. That adds up to, in 3 days, 4 days, was it? 4 days in a row, that adds up to 2,082. In just 4 days, in the last 4 days. Those people alone, those migrants alone, will cost us, the British taxpayer, over the next year, £82 million. Isn't that special? That's just for the last 4 days. That's the amount of money this is costing. So the migrant crisis continues apace, and still they come. But this is a story about what they do when they come here. There's shocking statistics here, Philip, that cross-channel migrants are 24 times more likely to be in prison than British people, than British citizens. Analysis by the Tory party has revealed that 1 in 30 small boat foreigners end up behind bars. That's 3.4% of all arrivals from France going to prison in the UK. These are the cross-channel people. So they compare terribly to general migrants who aren't quite so bad. But these cross-channel guys, and most of them are guys, they turn up here, we don't know anything about them, and we just let them in, and then it looks as if they just start breaking our laws. So the number of channel crossers who get jailed is 18 times higher than the rest of Britain's migrants. So these are shocking statistics.
It's beyond belief. I mean, this is prison. These are people just going to prison. This doesn't include the people who don't get caught, the people who get fines or all the rest of it. This is just prison. But there's one statistic that screams out at me here. This is 12% of Somalians living in the UK were behind bars by the end of March.
Wow.
12%. That's absolutely extraordinary. We've got to ask what's going on there. But there's something else as well. It puts the other story into context, doesn't it? We're talking about trying to save £5 billion with health reforms, with PIP and all of that kind of thing. The number you just read out there about how much this costs,
82 million for 2,000 or so migrants over the last 4 days.
Over the last 4 days.
Yeah, 82 million.
Extend that over a year, and then you're talking real money. Yeah. This is where all of the money's going from.
Each one of these migrants, when they get here, costs us £40,000 a year. So if you have 2,082 over 4 days, that adds up to just over £82 million for over the next year. Those are the arrivals we've had in the last 4 days alone. Now, we know now that, of course, this year alone, more than 20,000 have pitched up on the UK's south coast. That's a 40% rise on last year. So smash the gangs isn't going that well, is it? Now, if you extrapolate that, 20,000 migrants turning up on our south coast. With these statistics, 700 of them are likely to be destined to be locked up.
Yeah, it's a crime wave. You know, it's an imported crime wave. And as you say, Who'd have thought all of these undocumented men from cultures that are completely incompatible with Britain, that think women are second-class citizens and children are fair game, who'd have thought that they're going to go out and create crime, wreak havoc,
it's this cultural divide. It's really interesting what you said about Somalians, because Somalians are coming from a country which literally defines the term lawless.
Yeah.
They don't know about a law-abiding society, a law-abiding country. They come from a country where you just have to do what you have to do to get by, and if that involves crime, they just commit the crime. So they come here with that mindset. That, you know, these foreigners are coming here from different cultures, as you said. Many of them have alarmingly different attitudes to sex crimes to us, which would account for the fact that foreigners are responsible for nearly a quarter of all sex crime convictions in this country, and migrants are 3 times more likely to be arrested for sex crimes. So you know, these migrants that are coming in, we don't know anything about them. Statistically, disproportionately, they commit far too many sex crimes and far too many crimes generally.
We are paying several prices as a society in a country, aren't we? One is obviously the financial price, but it's we are sacrificing women and children on the altar of diversity here, aren't we? Because if you complain about this, you still get called racist. You still get called racist, even though the data is in, the figures are here, it's in black and white. You cannot argue against this stuff, and yet we still have open borders. The gangs will never be smashed because they don't want to. And as I've said before, if they admit for 1 minute...
They don't know how to either.
Yeah, they don't know how to, but they really don't want to. If they admit for 1 minute that their worldview is wrong, that, immigration is a beautiful thing and it's enriching and our country is far better for it.
Diversity is our strength.
And diversity is our strength. This is another mantra, isn't it?
Yeah.
Then if they admit that that is wrong, they have to admit that everything they've done over the last 30 years, their whole philosophy, is just catastrophic, and they will never do that.
And our migration policies over the last 15 years, the Tories are responsible for most of this. Labour, no mean feat, has made it even worse, has resulted in this country becoming a dangerous place for women. This is really bad, folks. Now, yesterday's Mail had incredible pictures from this place, Gravelines, in northern France, where there's this big canal that goes out to sea, which is a handy place to get on the dinghies. So there were literally thousands of these migrants, all leaning over the side of the canal with all these dinghies jostling around to pick them up. They're climbing in, then they're all waving and they're taking selfies, and off they go. It's just out of control.
It's like the opposite of Dunkirk, isn't it? It is like it's like an invading army. And again, if you use an expression like that, you will be described as racist. But if you look at the images, that's precisely what it is. And when they come here, so many of these young men, what do? They attack women and children. So they are a kind of invading army, and it is a kind of war. Mass migration is a kind of modern 21st century warfare, and as we know, our borders are open and we have precisely no defence against any of this.
Absolutely right. So let me know what you think about all this, folks. And by the way, the French police, the gendarmes, are still operating with the £800 million we've given them over the years to patrol their beaches properly. Well, they patrol their beaches. I'm not sure they patrol them properly, but we're all noticing that what they seem to be doing with our money is buying more and more expensive equipment. So they're driving around in these flash buggies. They've got helicopters, aeroplanes, drones, launches, you name it, they've got it. But they're not stopping any boats or any migrants. Apart from that, they're doing a great job. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. When we come back, we need to talk about the rape gang scandal. It is not only still going on, folks, it is going on at a frightening level, a frightening scale. I'm going to give you some more truly shocking statistics after these messages. Stay tuned.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, folks. Now, I promised you a shocking statistic, and this is shocking. The extraordinary scale of the rape gang scandal has been exposed by the shocking revelation that one police force alone, right now, is investigating more than 1,000 grooming gang suspects, rape gang suspects. Over 300 Greater Manchester cops are probing claims made by 714 more victims. These are young, vulnerable white girls who say they've been preyed upon by Muslim men of Pakistani heritage. This force is the biggest police force in the land, actually, Manchester, Greater Manchester Police. Of course, encompasses Rochdale, which is the dark heart of the rape gang scandal. So when people say, oh, is this still going on? You bet your bottom dollar it's still going on, and at scale. This is awful, isn't it?
It's terrible. I'm just trying to compute
it's your part of the world,
all of these numbers. You're dealing with, as you say, you're dealing with Rochdale here. You're also dealing with Oldham. You're dealing with Bolton, and you're dealing with Bury.
These are ground zero.
So these are ground zero for all of this thing. I'm from Bury, so I know these places well. Yeah. If you're talking about Rochdale, you are literally talking about a racially divided town. Okay, the divide between the Asian and the white populations is absolute, right? They really they don't integrate at all, and they simply can't. Now that is the heart of the problem, okay? Because the many of the Asian population, particularly the Pakistani men, as we know, just see white, vulnerable working class girls as fair game for abuse because they are completely on the other side. They don't even see them as human beings. The real problem is that the rest of that community do not deal with it for various reasons, mainly a lot of them because they're frightened, but because it just isn't culturally appropriate for them to deal with it. The police, there is, negotiated policing in these areas as well, so the police are completely ineffective. Okay, they will go in and they will talk to community leaders before they do anything, so there is literally no policing going on, and people wonder why these things carry on and carry on and carry on. On top of all that, you have a liberal elite who will just kind of put their fingers in their ears and close their eyes and just say it isn't happening because, as we said before, diversity is our strength. This is the terrible thing. We are beyond catastrophe, as I said.
Yeah, this is one police force alone. Don't forget, this was happening all over the country. Okay, it's a big police force, but you can rest assured that a lot of other police forces have got similar situations going on. So, people say, oh, the rape gang scandal, it's over. Others say, well, it's still going on. And you think, oh, my God. Well, it's clearly still going on, as I say, at scale. Just to reiterate those numbers, Greater Manchester Police are currently investigating more than 1,000 more rape gang suspects, and these are stories being told by 714 more alleged victims. That is terrible. Meanwhile, it has also emerged today, Philip, that inquiries into the worst sex crime scandal in British history were made much more difficult by Manchester City Council, who apparently redacted vast swathes of the relevant documented evidence. They said due to complex rules allegedly preventing the sharing of personal data. I wonder why they really redacted it. But I mean, this is, this is typical, isn't it? Let's give Manchester City Council the benefit of the doubt and say that they were actually hamstrung by data sharing rules. But, shouldn't you be saying, right, rather, these are young girls who've been treated like animals, who've been tortured, who've been raped. Data sharing rules should take second place to that. Let's really not redact this evidence. Let's help the police. It's this attitude that the fate the plight of these poor girls wasn't that important.
Well, let's just think about Manchester City Council, because they're a really good example, actually. Remember when this stuff broke and everybody was absolutely shocked? You know what Manchester City Council did? Yeah. They really pushed Islamophobia Awareness Month. That was their response to all of this kind of stuff. And that is absolutely at the heart of the problem, isn't it? You know, it's kind of, if you take the most hideous crime of the century and then take an aspect, you know, the perpetrators, or at least, you know, some of the perpetrators, and turn them into victims, then that's what happens up and down this country all the time. Things are turned on their head, and it's a kind of Orwellian way of treating people, and it's always women and children who suffer. And right at the heart of this are blue-haired liberals, who identify as God knows what at any time of the, you know, they are there, and they are pushing agendas, they are making policy, and they are rendering people unsafe because they will not deal with reality.
And there are many in the Guardian reading classes, in fact some of the Guardian writers, you know, are still saying, oh, this is exaggerated, it's racist to suggest it was very much a Pakistani Muslim problem. Well, it's not actually, it was and is. It really is. When they, you know, people say the disproportionate number of Muslim men of Pakistani heritage were involved in this. Yeah, disproportionate, as in nearly all of them. Yeah. It's as simple as that. So there are still apologists for this. And just to make sure that you're aware of the scale of this, I'm sure you all are, but there are estimated in total to be 250,000 victims of this scourge, probably still going on. That's 250,000 vulnerable young white girls, many of them underage. As I say, I keep saying the scale of this is just staggering.
It's incredible, and you would think that the nature of it as well, and for those of us who've read the transcripts, and I know you have, I mean, I was in tears reading them, because it wasn't just abuse, it was hideous torture. For those of us who actually know what has gone on, it's almost as though the country should stop and we should make this the biggest priority to sort out. But of course it will never be sorted out for all of the reasons I just said. But they don't want to sort it out. If they do sort it out, then they have to admit that multiculturalism has been devastating for this country, devastating for women, devastating for girls, and it's very difficult to see a way back from it without some kind of cultural revolution.
Yes, and when I think you and I have discussed before, I'm very, very circumspect about public inquiries, because mostly they are a way of kicking the can down the road into the long grass, so that politicians, when asked about awkward issues, can say, well, it wouldn't be right for me to comment before the inquiry has reached its conclusions. I give you the COVID inquiry. What a waste of time that is. £300,000 a day that costs. And they're not even looking into whether or not lockdowns worked, which is the only question that should be answered. They've started from the precept that did we lock down early enough, or did we lock down hard enough? The question you should be asking is, should we have locked down at all? And I can give you the answer, save you millions and millions. It's no, but they're not having that. So public inquiries, I'm dubious about, but you know, there are issues that are so incendiary, like the rape gang scandal, that it's hard to work out any other logical way of investigating this terrible, terrible crime. So on this occasion, I'm going to say that we do need a public inquiry. In fact, I've always said that. But what I'm building up to, in a very long-winded way, actually, is that I hope this inquiry is genuine, that it goes about its job in the spirit of inquiry, because most inquiries don't. They go about it in the spirit of something opposite to inquiry. So I just hope that they conduct this with integrity to really try to get to the bottom of what happened here and who are the villains of the police. Also, I want the police to go around arresting some of themselves for turning a blind eye. These teachers, these social workers, local politicians, top cops who turned a blind eye because they didn't want to be called racist, they should be brought to justice.
And Manchester is just the classic example for all of this kind of stuff. As you were just saying that, then you were talking, well, they turn a blind eye, they don't want to be called racist. I'm thinking about Salman Abedi and the Manchester Arena bombing, and the poor guy who was a security guard didn't want to say it. He saw the guy.
Saw it and then said,
I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be called racist. So, in a way, that really sums up where we are, doesn't it? And it sums up priorities. It sums up this idea that actually being shamed for this social ill is much worse than the safety of children. Now, any society that thinks that is quite frankly an insane society. But here we are, because we've had this stuff, this ideology. We are sick with ideology. It's been drummed into us for decade upon decade now. So yes, this stuff does need to be disentangled, but the more you think about it, the more complex it is, because it reaches to every part of society.
Here's the fear. Keir Starmer and the Labour Party or the Labour government were dragged kicking and screaming into this inquiry. They wanted nothing of the sort, as we well know. It was only Baroness Casey's report that forced Starmer into saying, all right, we better have an inquiry. Labour don't want it for several reasons, mainly that where most of the worst of this was happening, it was a Labour administration, Labour councillors, Labour people involved up to here. Starmer's record as Director of Public Prosecutions at the time, from 2008 and 2013, not that great, actually. He keeps boasting about it, but he, for many years while he was in charge, nobody was charged with any of these rapes. So he's got questions to ask, so it's uncomfortable for him. So the problem is Labour never wanted this. They were forced into it. Now what we have to look at, folks, what we have to beware of is the parameters. If they start setting parameters, look out for them, because they'll no doubt be geared towards protecting local Labour politicians, top cops, even Keir Starmer. You know what I'm saying? So watch out for the parameters, folks. But I do think we need this inquiry. We better go to break now, and when we come back, we've got a talk exclusive, but it's a damn worrying story. Very good story journalistically, but not for the country. It is about the desperate councils offering landlords huge amounts of money and massive property refurbs just to get them to agree to take the asylum seeker hotel migrants. So because Rachel Reeves, her again, said, well, get them out within 4 years by the end of this parliament, there is now this desperate scrabble going on to find houses to put the asylum seekers who are currently in hotels. So as I said earlier, it's nothing more than moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic, but it is going on one hell of a pace. It's going to cost us a lot of money, and it's going to mean that people who are worried about their local asylum seeker hotels might soon have to be worried about the asylum seekers living next door to them. So I think it's going to make a bad situation worse. We'll talk about that after this break.
As we are now all too aware, there was a major water leak over there at Westminster yesterday, coming straight out of Rachel Reeves' face. And now, at first, I think, like lots of people, I had a bit of sympathy. Maybe her dog had died. Possibly some bad news from a distant relative, or perhaps she got over-emotional after she watched the first episode of the new season of Young Sheldon. I don't know what was going on. It could have been anything. What could be the cause of this facial tsunami?
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. This is a Talk exclusive and a very worrying one it is too. Desperate councils are offering landlords all over the country lump sums of cash, big amounts of money apparently, and expensive full property refurbs as they frantically seek homes in which to accommodate migrants after Rachel Reeves' pledge to get them all out of asylum seeker hotels by the end of this Parliament. They got 4 years to do it. So all they're doing really, Philip, is they're just, as I said, they're moving the deck chairs around on the Titanic. It's like, oh, well, let's get them out of the hotel. Where are we going to put them? Don't know. Find some landlords, offer them loads of money. It will result, as I keep saying, in people who are worried about their local asylum seeker hotel will soon be worried about the asylum seekers living next door.
Absolutely. And of course it contributes massively to the housing crisis, which is a huge crisis in this country. Bearing in mind that in London alone, 48% of people who live in social housing are of foreign descent, are essentially foreigners. It illustrates the massive problem we have with immigration. It is decimating housing, but it's also decimating health, NHS. It's also decimating education as well. All key services are down because we're just engulfed with so many people, and we're trying to deal with them. And as you say, we know this is about crime. We know it's particularly about sexual crimes and sexual abuse. People are going to be having these people living next door.
Yeah, and as I always said, this is Brits. Because some of these asylum seeker people in hotels will go into social houses, others will go into private houses, as we're talking about here. And what that will mean is British citizens, will go to the back of the queue.
Yeah, of course.
So we're taking second place to all these asylum seekers that we have to find homes for. So young professionals, young people trying to get on the ladder somehow, trying to find a roof over their head who happen to be British, well, you're going to have to wait until we find homes for the asylum seekers. It's absolutely twisted, isn't it?
It really is, and especially if, you know, if you work hard, you're paying tax, you're trying to raise a family, you're trying to generally be a good citizen. What does this tell you? And actually, what does it tell young people? You can see why so many young people are turning to parties like Reform, who are looking away from the Tories and Labour, because they are being completely mistreated by the Uni Party in that way. Yeah. And they cannot see a future for themselves. You know, that's the key thing. Young people cannot see a future for themselves because they are back of the queue, and they should be front of the queue. They are the future of this country, what it's about.
Yeah, it's really bad, folks. But as I say, this is apparently because we talk to a lot of landlords, a lot of estate agents, and the nature of the calls from the local authorities apparently are like really frantic. You got to help us, you got to help us, and they're upping the ante, more and more money. We'll completely refurbish your house. We'll give you massive lump sums. It will guarantee you tenants for the next 2 years. Very attractive propositions to landlords, which frankly, will probably end up changing the nature of many towns in this country.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Absolutely. The nature of many of these places will change, and they will change for the worse, because community will disappear. If you just throw lots and lots of people who know nothing about the place, know nothing about the people. We just saw in Ballymena not long ago, didn't we? All the trouble on the streets there. That's why there are so many immigrants there that people are frightened of them, and rightly so.
Yeah, well, of course, with Ballymena, this is what is very, very worrying, because this issue is bubbling under fit to burst, and that is we're talking about migrants coming over here and committing crimes, but it's clear that they're starting to commit sex crimes, and local communities, when they find out about that, like they did in Ballymena, are likely to erupt, and a lot of people are fearing that there might be a lot of riots across the country, just as there were last summer. Very, very worrying. Let me know what you think, folks. 0344499 1000. Renee Hunderkamp will be in next for Call Dr. Renee. Get on the blower with all your medical problems. She's here to help. 0344499 1000. And a big thank you to Philip Kilsey, Senior Fellow at the New Culture Forum. Thank you, Philip. Excellent stuff as always. Stay tuned for Call Dr. Renee.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. It's hour 2 of tonight's Political Asylum, and a very special hour. It is Call Dr. Renee. Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, GP extraordinaire, in the studio. Hi, Renee.
Hello, how are you?
I'm very, very well. This is the hour where you can get all your medical inquiries answered.
Usually.
Yeah. No, one. She failed. There was one last week. She didn't know the answer. She's been doing this for years. It's the only time I've ever seen it. So she is... Well, see, get on the phone, see if you can catch her out, eh? No, seriously. By the way, that had a happy ending, that story, didn't it? But we digress. So get on the phone. You know the drill. If you're not feeling very well, you've got health issues, you've got problems with the NHS, you can't get to see your GP, it doesn't have to be you. Maybe you're worried about your treatment, unhappy with it, or you just don't feel very well. It doesn't have to be you. It could be a friend, could be a loved one, a partner, a spouse, a husband. husband, a wife, give Dr. Renee a call. Call Dr. Renee on 0344499 1000. Better finish the number. You won't get through if you do 0344499. You have to put 1000 after that. 0344499 1000. Call Dr. Renee. She's here to help. Before we get to your calls, we always like to have a look at a medical story that's caught our eye. When I say our eye, my eye. This story caught my eye. Katie Price. Jordan, she used to be, page 3 girl. I think probably famous now more than anything for having lots and lots of plastic surgery, huge augmentation to her sort of planet-sized breasts, which just look kind of freaky. And I saw a picture of her. She's been in Dubai, coming out of the sea, and she just looked terrible. And she's had so many surgeries on her face. Now, I think altogether, I read somewhere, and this isn't just her face, because she's had a butt lift, so many breast jobs, like 72 operations or something like this. Face, though, face. I think people who have plastic surgery in terms of their faces, and by the way, Renee is something of an expert in this because she ran her own skin clinic for, 12 years, so she knows what she's talking about. So look at that face, look at that face. Our faces, folks, are built, created, if you like, by the hand of God. Now, you can make improvements, surgeons can make improvements, but if you keep doing it, in the end, your face is no longer created by the hand of God. It's created by the hand of surgeons. These guys, they think, guys, women as well, of course, they think they're artists, but they're not Da Vinci and they're not God. And something happens to people who keep getting facial surgeries. At a certain point, you go, my God, that doesn't look better. That looks a whole lot worse. And I think now, we'll have a look at this woman in a minute, that Katie Price has reached that point where she's like the bride of Wildenstein. That's Jocelyn Wildenstein, the famous New York socialite. She died last December. Look at that. She had so many operations. And funnily enough, Renee, when she started to sort of frankly disappear into hideousness, it was when she got this idea that she wanted the feline look. And funnily enough, about, 2-3 years ago?
Although she used to deny having had facial aesthetics.
Yeah, she's had a hard life. Been trying to had a few drinks last night, that's all it is. No, so Katie Price, a few years back, she went for the feline look. And it's all, I think 3-4 years ago, she still looked pretty good. But my God, she looks terrible now. So she is now, in my view, in Bride of Wildenstein territory, right?
Yeah, and you know what? Katie actually proved by the surgeries and how she had them that she's done what I used to see with some people. And they start with something small and they really, really like it. And they look at that for a while and then they forget where they started and they think that's their canvas. So then they have a little bit more and the same happens. And each time they keep having a bit more, they completely forget what's gone before and what they used to look like. So they lose their own reality and personality. And Katie did that with her breasts. She literally went C, then D, then E, then F, then double G. And when she got to that massive size, suddenly she went all the way back and had them taken out. Yeah. And then she started all over again.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So it's this looking in the mirror and thinking that what you see is actually you and how can I improve it? They have actually forgotten that they've already done that several times. And of course, every time you have actual surgery, you create scar tissue. And that scar tissue becomes increasingly more difficult for the surgeon to manipulate and move in the way that it should. And that's why she keeps now getting problems and then going for other fixes. It's body dysmorphia, it really is. And you need a good doctor and a good surgeon to be able to say, no, Kev, enough.
Well, actually, with me, they'd say, let's start having some plastic surgery. No, look, see, so I was talking to a cosmetic surgeon not so long ago, and he said that he hadn't, but he did know of a doctor or a surgeon who'd said to Katie Price, no, you don't need this, I'm not doing this.
And the problem is someone will do it.
Well, that's my point. Next question to you. Obviously, there are many cosmetic surgeons, or most of them, I would hope, with great integrity. But clearly, with people like Wildenstein. Wittgenstein. He was a philosopher, wasn't he? No, Wildenstein, Jocelyn Wildenstein, and Katie Price. There are plastic surgeons out there, and they won't like this. I should call them cosmetic surgeons. There are cosmetic surgeons out there who'll just take the money.
Of course, and also they see someone famous, so they think they might enhance their career and get even more money. You know, I only once in my 12 years gave in to the pressure from a patient that I knew when I started I shouldn't.
Right.
You know, someone with anorexia, which I think Katie's probably got looking at her. She's very, very thin, who'd had multiple other things done. But sometimes these patients can be very demanding, very pushy. And it did, as I suspected, end with us falling out. And they're not pleasant to treat, these people. They're really not. They're demanding, they're unrealistic. They come in, I mean, this woman used to come into my clinic already having drawn lines on her own face as to where I was to put the filler.
Right.
You know.
So it's a form of addiction then. So it's
body dysmorphia. They're seriously disturbed in the way they see their body.
But it's a dysmorphia form. So I would suggest that when someone like Katie Price or Jocelyn Wildenstein go in first time, it's okay. You know, I've got a bit of a big nose. You know, they get that sorted and they think, I can get my ears. So I will never like that much, or I never like, and then they descend into a kind of addiction.
Yeah, it's an addiction, and I think it's fed by deep-seated unhappiness. I mean, Katie Price has had 5 children. You know, all of this time, some of her children are not so old. She's undergoing surgery after surgery, which is time out, time away from them. And to all intents and purposes, she had Harvey, who was severely disabled. She was a good mum.
No, she was a good mum to Harvey.
Yeah.
Or is a good mum.
Is a good mum. But, you know, good mums usually don't then start taking out loads of time about themselves because they're focused on their kids. So she's lost her way. And I think there is some sort of mental, you know, body dysmorphia is a mental health disorder, and I think these people have it. And it's very difficult.
I mean, you know, if we go back to Jocelyn Wildenstein, she's Swiss-born, actually. Look at that. Look at it. I mean, if you're watching on the telly. I mean, she's looking in the mirror and thinking that looks good.
Well, you know, quite. But, I mean, Kevin, you only need to look around you at young people nowadays who are trying really, really hard to actually look like Katie. And I see all the time.
They don't want to look like her now.
Well, I think they do. I see young women all of the time now with lip fillers, which are so badly done because they've paid the beautician down the road in the hairdressers, which is another thing one shouldn't do. And they want it cheap. You don't get anything good cheap when it comes to your health and plastic surgery. But they want these massive eyebrows, these big cheekbones, the lips, and they don't look real. They don't look like themselves. This is a trend. This is what young girls aspire to.
It is strange, and I'll tell you another thing about Katie Price I've noticed. I think she's beginning to enjoy talking about the problems she has with plastic surgery. So she's banging on at the moment about a botched butt lift and also some botched thing on her face.
Look, I'm going to say this. When I was the publisher for OK magazine, I used to deal with Katie all of the time, and she is a very lovely person. She has a good heart. She does a lot for charity, but she is also Katie Price's best publicist. She would sell her grandmother if it got her on the front pages.
Like all lovely people.
Well, as time goes on, but this is about Katie again. This is this narcissism. What do I look like? What can I do to get in the know? It is, yeah.
Deep self-love.
And so this is another way to stay in the headlines. Let me talk about my plastic surgery.
It really is strange. So listen, folks, don't forget it is Call Dr. Renee. Give her a call with any of your health issues. All your medical questions will be answered. Once again, you know the drill. If you have health issues, if you have problems with the NHS, who doesn't? You can't get to see your GP, who can? Maybe you're unhappy with your current treatment. Maybe you think you need treatment. Call Dr. Renee on 03444 99 1000. She's here to help. As I keep saying, it doesn't have to be you. It could be a loved one, it could be a friend, it could be your wife, it could be your husband, your partner. 0344 499 1000. Call Dr. Renee. She's here to help. We'll go to break now and we'll come back and we'll open the surgery. So stick around.
I think it is fair to say that politicians are under a lot of pressure. I mean, that's for sure.
And she certainly is.
Well, she's in a very, very senior position.
Yeah.
And I suppose there's a couple of things there. Sometimes I think that the public don't like to think of politicians as being human.
Yeah.
They don't expect us to show any human emotion. I think they think we're more like robots or whatever. But in her job, being so senior, and the fact that if she can't command the confidence of the country and beyond, the country's going to suffer.
Right.
That's a factor, obviously.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure she can recover from this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. The surgery is open. It is called Dr. Renee. Dr. Renee Hunderkamp, GP extraordinaire, in the studio to answer all your medical questions. You know the number, 0344 499 1000. Call Dr. Renee. She's here to help, and hopefully the first person she's going to help is Nikki from Oxfordshire. Hi, Nikki. Talk to the doctor.
Hi there.
Hi, Nikki. How can I help?
Well, I am due to, at some point this year, hopefully donate a kidney to my son.
That's lovely.
And my question is, would I be able to buy the weight loss jab to lose some weight before that, or would it affect my kidney function?
Oh, do you know, that's such a specific question. I don't know. I personally wouldn't do it because it is affecting, excuse me, I'm struggling today. It is affecting glandular organs like the pancreas. We know that. People are getting pancreatitis. So I think I would be very, very wary of doing anything that might affect the other organs as well.
What about, Nikki, I don't want to be rude, Nikki, but what about just a sort of a normal diet?
Well, I have got my BMI down considerably, so I think that has been working so far.
Good for you.
I just wanted a few sort of quick results, really, until the operation date.
But you think, Nikki, you think that maybe you shouldn't muck around with the fat jab in these circumstances?
It's too precious. The gift you're giving to your son is too precious.
And why does your son need a new kidney, Nikki?
My son's got vasculitis, so it's affected his kidneys. So he's got 3% kidney function. So he's basically he's in kidney failure.
Right.
How fantastic! How fantastic that you were a match.
Well, it's slightly more complicated than that. But I'm not a match. But I'm going into a paired donorship scheme. That I donate into the pot, and somebody else donates to my son.
Fine.
Oh, is that how it goes? That's interesting.
It can. Yeah.
Okay, so you will donate your kidney, and in return for that, you'll get your son will get a kidney that matches. Yeah.
Absolutely, that's exactly what happens. We're so excited about it, ready to happen. So.
When does it happen, Nikki? When's it scheduled for?
We're not sure. We're going into the paired scheme in July to look for a match for me and a match for Luke. So we're hoping this year.
And how old is your son, Nikki?
He's 27.
27. Well, it's a fantastic thing you're doing, and it's very, it's exciting. But I mean, I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert, but it sounds to me that what Renee is saying is something to bear in mind. I wouldn't play around with chemicals ahead of what you're going to do. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally understand that. Totally. I just want to be in the best possible shape that I can be. So maybe that's just to carry on, healthy eating and doing the best I can.
I think that's what you should do. And I'll give you a little story to warn you about the fat jab. My sister, who I don't see all that often, a couple of times a year. Last time I saw her, she sort of proudly announced that she was on the fat jab, the big, what's it called?
Wegovy. Manjaro.
Manjaro. So look at all the weight I've lost, and I just I didn't notice. So it doesn't necessarily produce dramatic results. It didn't go down at all well with my sister, but there you are. Anyway, so you're not going to get the jab, are you?
No. I'm absolutely not going to have the jab. No, I won't risk it at all. I just wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
I was also asking the question because when you said ask a question that you don't know you're going to, I was sort of intrigued as to what you would say. So
I'm glad you're not going to do it. It sounds right to me.
You know what I actually think? I've said it before. I think we're going into one of the biggest medical experiments we've been in. Obviously, there was another one called COVID vaccines. But I think we're already seeing, as this is being rolled out over a very short period of time, 6 months, we've got serious eye defects and blindness is being accounted for. We've had 10 deaths from pancreatitis, so it is affecting soft tissue organs. And I think when we're 5 years down the line on this jab and millions of people is going to have it, it's going to be shocking.
Yeah, so there you go, Nikki. But listen, all the best to you and to your son. I'm sure it'll all go brilliantly, but excellent call, and you look after yourself. Thank you for ringing, Nikki. Nikki in Oxfordshire. That's a story.
And I think organ donation, my uncle died when he was 24, fit and healthy. He was in a motorbike accident. And I think in the end, something like 27 people benefited from his organs because they used tendons, corneas, everything. It's such a precious gift that you can give someone else.
Yeah, but I didn't know about that. So there's a deal there that Nikki doesn't match her son, but she gives her kidney, and in return he will get one that does match.
So it'll be a 3-person organ donor. Okay. So someone will get Nikki's. So someone has to match to Nikki.
Yeah, no, I get that. Yeah.
And someone to him.
That's extraordinary. Anyway, best of luck to Nikki and her son. Let's move on. Let's talk to Tony in Lincolnshire. Hello, Tony.
Hello.
Hello.
Talk to the doctor. What would you like to say?
I've been on pregabalin. Well, I was on pregabalin for 8 years.
Okay. What for?
For neuropathy.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry, hang on a second, Tony. Can you let the layman in on this? What are we talking about?
Neuropathy is when the nerves all over the body start to degenerate. They cause terrible pain. Pregabalin is a nerve painkiller.
Okay. So carry on, Tony. Sorry to interrupt.
And it was 2018, so I was on it for a couple of years, and then lockdown came in, so I couldn't get to see a doctor or anything. So I was just on it constantly, Didn't ease the pain or anything, but it's made me put on so much weight.
Are you on it now?
No.
Okay.
I changed my doctor and I came off it over a year ago, but I had to be weaned off it because it's an opioid, isn't it? And
yeah.
Well, I was itching and scratching for months. I couldn't sleep, I was sweating.
Look, you know, your story is quite an interesting one, Tony, because I can't tell you how many people are on long-term painkillers of one description or another: pregabalin, gabapentin, amitriptyline, you know, codeine,
I've been on all
cocodamol.
of those, all three.
Of course you have, because those are what people trot out for nerve pain, and it doesn't help, but they stay on it. And there's plenty of data that shows, for example, back pain is the really big one as well, that if you've been on painkillers for back pain for more than 2 months, they're not working. They're not, you know, you just become desensitised to them. And all of these drugs, as you rightly point out, have got side effects. And people just seem to forget that. Lots of side effects. And it's a shame. And pregabalin, I think, is a pretty nasty drug.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Do you agree, Tony?
Absolutely, it is. It's okay for anxiety, but I didn't go on it for anxiety.
I don't think it is okay for anxiety. I mean, look, we give pregabalin sometimes to older people, and they get psychosis. I mean, there's a standard saying in a hospital
that's
amongst.
what I was going through.
Yeah, there's a standard saying in hospitals with doctors that pregabalin makes old ladies fall over.
And I was falling.
Yeah.
I bet you're not old though, are you, Tony?
I am 58.
You're young.
So you're not old. You're not old.
Very young.
I was 50 when I went on it.
Yeah.
And it's made me... And now I've got osteoarthritis now.
Well, I would say you probably would have got osteoarthritis anyway, because...
Yeah, I know. It's in the family. But there was like saying, it's to do with your neuropathy. I went, no, because neuropathy don't make your bones crack.
No, and I mean, look, we've all got osteoarthritis when we get to 58. I'm riddled with it. I did an awful lot of sport when I was younger, which is great for the heart. It's not so good for the joints. It's normal wear and tear. You know, the human body wasn't designed to live to 100, really. So, you know, joints do start to wear out. But now you've just got to focus on getting rid of that weight.
Yeah, I know, but I've got still got neuropathy, osteoarthritis in my feet. I've got COPD.
Okay, I'm going to say this to you.
Everything is against me.
No, you haven't at all. 90% of weight is what you eat. Exercise is a bonus. You cannot.
1 meal a day, Dr. Renee.
Pardon?
I have 1 meal a day.
Tony, whatever you're eating is clearly too much for you right now, or it's the wrong kind of thing for you.
Well, I've just eaten a bit of lasagna.
That sounds nice. So what? Hang on a second, Tony. Why would pregabalin? Why would that make Tony put weight on?
So it's not a side effect that I've actually heard very often, to be honest with you. But I'm not going to say that's not what caused it, because humans are all completely different and have different reactions to different drugs.
I was told by my new doctor, strange doctor, that pregabalin is one of the worst for putting weight on, and it can cause men and women's breasts to enlarge.
Okay.
And that's where all my weight's gone.
What, on your breasts?
Yeah.
Okay. I see people on pregabalin all the time. It's not a side effect I've seen, to be honest with you, but as I said, that doesn't mean it hasn't happened to you.
So you don't like it as a drug, though?
I think it's a horrible drug. I try not to use it. The people I see on it have been put on it by other people.
So you're off it now, though, Tony, yeah?
I am, yes. No going back now.
Good. You'll be all right. You sound like a woman of great fortitude. So anything else we can help you with?
Yeah, get rid of Keir Starmer.
Now, stay where you are. Now
we're talking.
That I can help you with. What did you think about Rachel Reeves crying yesterday, Tony?
I don't like to see anybody crying.
No, I said that. I said
any sympathy from me. I'm sorry.
I don't have any sympathy for her per se. You know, because I think she's a terrible chancellor and I think she's done terrible things. You know, the winter fuel allowance was unconscionably cruel.
I think she's a player and she's been caught out.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one thing though, Tony. I was saying that I got in trouble with the audience last night because I'm a bloke. It's very difficult for men to watch women cry, so I kept saying, look, I felt really sorry for her. And all the audience go, what do you feel sorry for her for? But on a human level I did. But
do you know what? I don't think that's being a man. I think it's difficult for anyone with a heart. It's difficult to see anyone crying.
It is difficult.
But she didn't cry over the pensioners. She didn't cry over the farmers. She didn't cry over the small businesses that she's put, you know.
Agreed, yeah.
And she was busy pointing at Kemi Badenat before she burst into tears.
Yeah.
She didn't start crying till Stan won't stick up for her.
You're right about that. Tony, listen, really good to talk to you. We'll see what we can do
Good
about...
luck, Tony.
We'll see what we can do about Keir Starmer, and you look after yourself. Give us a call again. Thank you very much. Tony in Lincolnshire there. Let's go to break, and when we come back, who should we do? David in Newcastle. Stay where you are, David. You next.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This
welcome back. Don't forget, it's Call Dr. Renee. The surgery is open right now with any of your medical queries. Get on the phone, 0344 499 1000. Call Dr. Renee. She is here to help. Let's go to the next call. That is David in Newcastle, who says it here he can't breathe properly. David, talk to Dr. Renee.
Hello, David.
Hi, Dr. Renee. Hiya.
How can I help?
Right, it just started about a year and a half ago. I had a AAA bypass done, repair.
Mm-hmm.
And found breathing quite difficult from then. But I also have rheumatoid arthritis.
Okay.
I had a real bad episode a few months ago where I literally couldn't move. And it went from there, and it's enlarged the right-hand side of my heart.
Yeah.
And also caused me lungs to look apparently a bit like a honeycomb. They've put me on oxygen, which I'm going to about 15 bottles a week at the minute. Struggling a bit with that. As you can probably tell, me oxygen I'm stopping now.
Sorry.
I can hear that, yeah.
It is quite difficult. Now, they're on for giving me a tablet which you put under your tongue that dissolves, which apparently will help the heart and the lungs.
Okay.
But that's as much as I know about it. I haven't really.
How old are you?
I'm 68.
Oh, you're so young. Okay. Have you been a smoker?
I did smoke. I don't smoke anymore.
Okay. Is this been called COPD?
No.
No. Okay. So it's heart failure?
Yeah.
Okay. You should be on many drugs for heart failure because there are quite a few drugs that can help try and remodel the heart.
All right.
But you can't ever cure or reverse heart failure, but you can make the symptoms better. So you should be on a collection of medications, I hope.
Well, I've got a fair few.
A fair few, yeah. What was your question today? Because it sounds like they're doing all of the things that they should do. It's miserable for you, and living on oxygen is not fun, is it?
It's not fun at all. I can't walk from the front door to the front gate. It's only 15 yards, and I'm absolutely gasping. I get up in the morning. This morning I got up, my oxygen level was at 52.
Yeah, that's not where you want that to be, is it?
No, so it's like get the mask on and sit there for half an hour to get it back up again.
Are you under the care of a cardiologist?
Yes.
Okay. When did you last see them?
Not see them. Probably about a year ago for them.
So it sounds to me like you probably need a review with them.
Yeah. I'm seeing the oxygen nurse in a couple of weeks' time.
I mean, look, that's fine and that's all lovely, but you need a cardiologist. You know, the oxygen nurse will go through, you know, what your oxygen sats are, how much you're using, and just work to a protocol. You actually need a cardiologist who understands what your heart's doing and what other medications they might be able to add in to just help that work a little bit more efficiently.
Well, this is what the nurse was saying about this medication that dissolves on the tongue.
I don't know what that is without a name.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was called, quite honest. But
this is not a buccal nitrate.
Pardon?
Is it a nitrate?
Oh, I'm not really sure.
Do you get chest pain?
No.
No. Okay. Look, why don't you speak to your GP tomorrow and see if they can facilitate a faster, or at least not even faster, it's been a year, a cardiology review quite soon.
Yeah, I will do. I'll do just then.
All right. Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Raina.
Okay, take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, well, that was poor old David there. Terrible. Let's. I've got a couple of. I've got a text here that. Well, here's a good one. You'll like this. This is from Becca. It says, spoke to you both a few weeks ago after a false diagnosis of velvet knee. I vaguely remember that. Rang my doctor the next day and said I'd spoken to Dr. Renee.
They must all hate me.
And they immediately put the phone down. So that's strange. No, it doesn't say that. It doesn't say that. It said I'd spoken to Dr. Renee. Amazingly, I got a senior physiotherapist appointment on the Monday and finally got diagnosed with osteoarthritis. Thank you, Renee. Spot on. There you go. So your name carries along. I'm going to try that myself.
Oh, well done, I'm pleased.
Here's another quick text for you. Hello, Dr. Renee. This is from Jackie in Shrewsbury. I have multiple health issues, including fibromyalgia and severe endometriosis, which gives me restless legs. I struggle with sleep every night. Is there anything non-addictive I could take to help me, please?
Now, do you know what? I'm actually going to take your details and come back to you. I'll tell you why. I have just done a vlog which has not yet gone out on restless legs and a potential new treatment, which is quite simple, but I can't remember it because it's so new and I did it a couple of weeks ago. So if you give the producers your details or send it to us now, Kevin will give it to me. I will look it up when I get home and I will email it to you.
Yeah, so if we can look up Becca's details, because there's a text, I'm sure we've got the number there, and we'll give it to you, Renee.
I've just done something on it, but because it's so new, I can't bring it to mind.
There you go, Becca. You come to the right place. Oh my God, I'll read this one in a minute. It's got so many long words in it. You know, marmalade, corrugated, what else is there? Actually, there is a word.
Is this about roadworks?
It does say trampoline. That can't be right. So I've been taking gabapentin trampoline.
Tramadol.
Yeah, it says trampoline here.
Okay, you should say
yeah, I know
tramadol.
what tramadol is. I also know what a trampoline is. They're giving them free to migrants in Kent. There you go.
I have one in my front garden. I paid for it. You mean I could have got it free?
Yeah, you could have done it. Just say you're a migrant. You came here on a small boat. You get free everything then, including free medical treatment. Right, let's go back to the phones and let's talk to a new caller. Love a new caller. David in Dorset. Hello, David. Talk to the doctor.
Hello,
Hi.
David.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
How can I help?
So last September, I was diagnosed completely out of the blue with high-grade non-Hodgkin lymphoma,
Okay.
and it was a diffuse large B-cell lymphoma. If you're familiar with the different types of lymphoma, it was a whole new world for me. And it was stage 4, so it kind of spread around a bit. And you know,
What were your symptoms? This is a blood cancer, by the way.
Okay.
What were your symptoms?
So my symptoms were a painful shoulder when I was running.
Wow.
That was what first alerted me. The pain was only there when I was running, and then over the course of a few months, it kind of became more and more, and I'd wake up in pain, and it got to the point where I could barely raise my right arm above my waist.
Now, this is so interesting, and I'll tell you why. GPs often get a lot of stick in the press about, I went to my GP for a year with my painful shoulder, and they did this, but actually it was cancer. We see painful shoulders. I saw 2 today, all of the time. It's a really common injury. And I have to say to you, lymphoma would not be on my radar. I would be thinking of all of the normal things that we know, tendinopathy, you know, frozen shoulder.
Yeah, well, that's what I thought. Yeah.
So that's really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it was starting to swell up. It was noticeable that I had a bit of a hunchback on the shoulder blade.
So this was from a lymph node.
Yes. Yeah. It was deep within the scapula.
In the capsule.
And I very rarely go to the doctors, and I went to GP. No, and I was fully expecting to get a leaflet on physio and some painkillers.
Exactly.
And the GP I saw, who I'd never seen before, was absolutely brilliant. She said, "I don't like the look of it. You're going to go for an urgent scan."
Wow, good for them.
And anyway, cut a long story short, I sent through Southampton Hospital, who were brilliant. Everything went through really quickly. Scan after scan after scan. Treatment, chemo started in October. I had 6 rounds of chemo and I had 2 weeks of radiotherapy, and my treatment finished in March, and I'm in remission.
Good.
So that's all fine. I find myself now suffering with really bad fatigue, and I've gone back to work in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I just want to sleep all the time. And I've got no appetite. I'm feeling a bit down in the dumps, to be honest. Instead of feeling happy that I'm in remission, it's actually the way. And I put a really brave face on it during my treatment, and now I'm sort of like come to terms with
why has it not gone away?
The big thing that I've gone through, and also they have said, you know, the chance of relapse is quite high, and I'm kind of a little bit paranoid about relapse, and I wondered what I can do. One, to possibly avoid any relapse, or is that just luck of the draw? And 2, what can I do to boost my energy levels? And I've started to take vitamin D's and stuff like that.
Well, I think there's a third as well. So let me start with what you can do to avoid relapse. Yes, there are definitely things you can do. So there are plenty of very good nutrition sites. If you Google anti-cancer diets, I mean, I've done stuff about it on my Instagram, Dr. Raina Hundekamp, and that will involve cooking everything for yourself, because processed food is evil. But getting into your diet, lots of polyphenols, which are known to be tumour suppressors. Keep your inflammation down, so really no sugar if you can help it, and no simple carbs that just convert to sugar. You can get olive oils, for example, that are graded by how high they are in polyphenols, and they get given a certificate for that. I take a spoonful of a high polyphenol olive oil every day. I just have it neat. I know I'm a bit weird, but I had cancer back when I was 33, and I don't want it to come back either, so I completely get it. So that's what you can do. Diet is certainly very, very important. Then in terms of what you can do to help the fatigue, that's more tricky. Are you sleeping well at night?
So. I mean, obviously the last couple of weeks it's been hot. I've been waking up quite a bit, and I'm waking up a bit sweaty, but Generally, yeah, I'm going to bed pretty early, and I'm having a good 8-9 hours.
Okay. I mean, I would always take a magnesium supplement because it's good for your bowels, it's good for your sleep, and it's good for your mind.
Okay.
Melatonin as well, because it's neuroprotective, so that's always worth considering. You can't buy that in the UK, even though you can if you're under 18 or over 65. But you can get it from very good websites. There's one called biovia.com, which I know is trustworthy.
Okay.
And then I think it's important to just make sure that you've got a multivitamin on board. I know I'm saying to you eat really good food, and I wouldn't normally do that, but you're in a slightly different place. So I just think I would supplement that with a really good multivit. Make sure your vitamin D is nice and high, because vitamin D is inversely related to poor sleep and fatigue.
Right, okay, yeah.
I then would go to your GP, because I think your bar should be low to make sure there's nothing going on, but I would check things like your thyroid and make sure the chemo hasn't adversely affected your thyroid, which is making you feel so terribly tired.
Oh, okay.
And the thyroid, trust me, I don't have one. When it's not working, it's the engine of your body, can be absolutely shocking in terms of how you feel, and it can also affect mood, and you're feeling a bit down. You have lots of reasons for that, but that too could be your thyroid. So those are the things that I would start with.
Okay, how do they check thyroid? Is it a blood test?
Just a blood test, yeah.
Yeah, interesting, right, okay.
All right, David?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I really appreciate that, thank you very much.
Also, David, how old are you?
I'm 52.
I'd check your testosterone as well.
Do you know what, I was going to ask you about that as well, because I've also got zero libido since all this started, and again, I think that's quite a common thing with the chemo effects. But...
It is, exactly, but don't forget as well, if your mood is low, you might have no libido and feel quite sad and tired, but as men get older, their testosterone goes down, and the NHS is very bad at this, by the way. Even if your testosterone was 8, which is low, but it's at the bottom of the range, they'll say you're fine. But there are lots of men's clinics, look up andropause, who don't believe that and supplement it, and that gives you more energy.
And would my GP check my testosterone, or they aren't too busy?
Yeah, they would test it, but they might not treat it even if it's at the bottom. But then at least you know.
Okay.
All right, David, good to talk to you. Look after yourself.
Good luck.
Thank you very much for the call. Just before we go to break, interesting text here. There's not a name on it. What was that drug that lady was talking about?
Pregabalin.
Pregabalin.
Yeah.
OK, here we go. I wish there was a name on it because it's interesting. 9 years infantry veteran, 2 tours of Helmand province in Afghanistan, fitter than a Greek god. PTSD, post-traumatic stress diagnosis with lots of treatment and different medication, obviously after his service. Pregabalin was prescribed for about 2.5 years. The weight gain was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, I've just looked it up and it does say that it's a common side effect. So I'm only, as I said, I don't prescribe it. So the only patients I see are already on it, and I haven't really seen that. But you're right, absolutely.
So I don't know your name, but thank you very much.
And thank you for your service.
Thank you for your text, and as Renee said, thank you for your service. Let's go to break. More calls when we come back. It's Call Dr. Renee, 0344499 1000. She's here to help. Back in a mo.
there isn't footage of these massacres because they're not taking place by Israeli
Julia, this
soldiers.
Is go on any other TV station and you will see live streams sometimes, people being massacred, standing, queuing up for food. It happens.
There is one set of footage which actually shows Hamas fighters. This is from quite some time ago now.
No, that was at another location totally.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't at the location where it was claimed there had been IDF soldiers
somebody
shooting.
who's completely unidentified, probably one of the gangs in Al-Shabaab that the Israelis
not Hamas.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back after the 9 o'clock news. We're going live to Los Angeles to talk to the great Kinsey Schofield about the latest goings-on Planet Meghan. You can get Chateau Meg Rosé wine now. Whoop-de-doo, and it's only $30. We'll be talking about that. Won't be tasting it. Don't want to. I don't want to spend that
Doesn't seem
much.
too expensive for a nice rosé.
Doesn't it? $30? That's about £26.
Whispering Angels, 22.
Yeah, but that's an expensive one.
Well, I like that one.
I don't like it. I don't think it's very good, actually. But it's overpriced and not very nice. But Chateau Dolly Parton, £7 from Tesco's. That's a proper price.
Chateau Dolly Parton.
Yeah. And also, Dolly Parton's an impressive individual.
She is indeed.
Meghan Markle, not so much. Give me Dolly any day of the week. Would you prefer Dolly's drink or Meghan's rosé? 03444991000. We'll talk about that after. Don't get on the phone about that now. Let's go straight to Hertfordshire and talk to Gary. Hello, Gary. Talk to the doctor.
Oh, hi. Hi, Kev.
Hi. How you doing, man?
Hi, Gary.
Good. Well, not good.
So you numbness and burning in your legs.
Well, yeah. Let me just give you a bit of background. I'm 60 years old now.
Young.
I suffered with gout quite severely during my 30s and 40s. Now it gets on me, not quite so much, but it does.
Mm-hmm.
But my feet are just. It's the weirdest thing because my feet are just numb.
All of the time.
If I was to have a pedicure, for example, I couldn't tell that someone was touching my feet.
Any pain?
But at the same time, my feet hurt.
Okay. So, I mean, this sounds very much like peripheral neuropathy. There are some other things it could be, like it could be your lower back.
What's peripheral neuropathy?
I've got no pain. I've got no pain anywhere else. My back's fine.
Backs don't have to hurt to be causing sciatica that goes down to your toes.
Right. Well, I've got no pain. I've got no pain at all in that regard. I've had a Doppler, and that's all fine.
Okay, so a Doppler looks at blood flow to see if enough oxygen is getting there. Okay.
Yeah.
So what you need some.
I have a.
Oh.
Excuse me.
That's okay.
That's all right. Take your time. It's all right, Gary.
I'll just explain to Kevin what's going on. So
I have. It's like the forwardmost knuckle on my big toe.
Oh right, yeah.
It's kind of misshapen and constantly red.
Do you think will that be associated with it?
So probably not.
Although this is what's really weird. Although if you were to touch my toes, I wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah.
There's a lot of.
When's the last time you saw are you seeing people about this?
Like a constant.
I can feel that, but are you seeing anyone about this?
Are you seeing? When did you last see a doctor about this, Gary?
December, and they referred me to neurology.
That's what you need.
And then neurology called me in January and said, do I still want the appointment?
And that's what they do.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they said, all right, it's going to be about 12 months.
Yeah.
Oh, for God's sake.
I mean, this is what's going on. They're trying to just put people off by doing this.
12 months and he's in this state.
I know.
Well, that's ridiculous. Gary obviously needs some help. Pretty damn sharpish, don't you think?
I do, but it's very. I don't know what to suggest, because this is what GPs are up against. This is not your GP. This is the weights that we are up against. I think what you need to do, Gary, is you need to go back to your GP and just express how you're feeling, because your emotion is so real and so raw that you need to say to them, I can't wait 12 months. I mean, now it will be 6 months, I guess, if that was January.
Yeah.
But I think you need to get to them and say, what are you going to do for me? You're either going to get me to neurology or you're going to give me something to help.
What do you think it could be?
Well, I mean, it sounds very much like a peripheral neuropathy. We had the caller earlier, didn't we, who was on the pregabalin, where the nerves at the end of your extremities are actually irritated, inflamed, some sort of neuritis, and that causes both pain and numbness, because both of those things go down those nerves. I mean, I would, if I was a GP, I would rule out everything. So I would do an MRI of your lumbar spine. I know you've got no pain there, you don't need pain there, just to make sure there's not some nerves coming out of your back that are being absolutely squashed, causing this. And just because it's in your toes doesn't mean it isn't your lower back. So as a GP, those are the things that I would be investigating.
So can I just go to my doctor and say I want an MRI?
Yeah.
I think you should go, Gary, and just like really. I was about to say put your foot down, but that's not the right expression, is it? It's under the circumstances. But I think you have to get... I mean, I really feel sorry for you. You're obviously in some distress here. And what can we say except for...
Oh, thank you.
And what about, Gary, what about checking things like B12? Because if you've got rock bottom B12 levels, you can get a peripheral neuropathy. Now, if it's been going on a long time, it might not be completely reversible, but B12 injections or tablets might help. So a blood test to check for that, check for diabetes.
The diabetes has been checked.
Okay.
Once or twice.
What about B12? Look up tonight on the computer.
Sorry, go on.
Look up tonight on the computer, B12 deficiency.
All right.
Try that, Gary, and get down your doctors and, metaphorically speaking, put your foot down, if you know what I mean. I don't think... I mean, I feel so sorry for her. I don't think there's anything else we can say except to express our sympathy, but I think you need to get something moving. I think if a doctor sees the state that you're in, something will happen. I think that's the best you can do, yeah?
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All right, Gary, listen,
Gary,
you really
luck.
look after yourself. Good to talk to you. We've got... That was distressing, poor man. We haven't got long, but I think we've got time to, as it were, squeeze in Cass from Kensington. Cass, talk to the doctor.
Hello, Cass. How can I help?
Hi, Dr. Renee. So I'm 20 years old, and I've got a hyperthyroid and SVT. And every time the doctor's prescribed me medication for either one, I've had an allergic reaction, and I just wanted to ask if there's anything that the GP can give.
Right, so your thyroid is hyperactive.
Yeah, it's overreactive.
Okay, so just to be clear, because it's different ways. So usually what they do when you have a and that's what's irritating your heart. So usually if you sort out the thyroid, the heart will resume its own pattern, as it were. So I'm assuming you can't have carbamazole.
They gave that. They even gave levothyroxine, which is given for underactive.
Well, that's called block and replace. Well, no, they do that. So it's called block and replace. So they block your thyroid with carbamazole, but then they have to replace it because you can't live without thyroid hormones. But hopefully it's at the right level. So there is one other drug whose name, it's got a really long name that starts with a P, that they can also use.
Yeah, they give that. It's called Rocky something, right?
See, Uracil or something, yeah. And can you not take that?
No, and then they gave me something that ends in OLO, which didn't.
That's for your SVT, so that's a beta blocker, so that'll be propranolol or bisoprolol, one of those. So if they can't block your thyroid by using drugs, then the only other thing they can do is surgically remove some of it.
Oh, okay. I never said that.
Oh, well, you shouldn't be running around with a hyperthyroid situation because that is bad for your heart and it's also bad for your bones. You could get osteoporosis long term. So I would go back and say you need to be seen by endocrinology as an emergency because hyperthyroidism is an emergency. And if you can't take the drugs, surgery might be the next step, or radioactive iodine.
Do you know if the surgery's like long healing? Like, does it take long?
No, not at all. I've had that surgery. I was back at work in a couple of days.
There you go. You can't say fairer than that. You've got a human guinea pig here.
Yeah.
She's had that done, Cass. So, yeah, okay.
That's great. Thank you, Dr. Ronnie.
Thank you very much. Good to talk to you, Cass. Cass in Kensington.
Take
there. Everyone else who's waiting on the line, really sorry we're going to have to close the surgery now because this hour is nearly over. Big thanks to Renee Hunderkamp, as always. You'll be back in 2 weeks, right? She's going on holiday again. Why don't I ever go on holiday? It's always her.
It's a summer holiday.
Yeah. I must try it sometime. Big thanks to Renault, though, seriously. And after the news, it is Kinsey Schofield live from Los Angeles with the latest goings on, as I said, on Planet Meghan. You don't want to miss that. Stay tuned.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Now, before we go over to Los Angeles to talk to Kinsey Schofield about Meghan and Harry and the royals, breaking news, big breaking news. Zara Sultana, the extreme left-wing Corbynista Labour MP, has quit the Parliamentary Labour Party. In fact, she's quit Labour to lead a new party with Jeremy Corbyn. I personally can't wait to join that, I'll tell you. No, seriously, yeah, the gruesome twosome, Corbyn and Sultana, are going to start their own party. She says the reason she's quitting, don't forget, Zara Sultana last week tweeted because of Palestine Action when the proposal came forward to prescribe them after they broke, or some of them broke into Bryce Norton RAF Centre and sabotaged those two aircraft, causing about £30 million worth of damage. She's the one that tweeted, "We are all Palestine Action now." With a bit of luck, if she does that in a couple of days, that the prescribing of Palestine Action is underway. It needs to be ratified by the Lords, but within a bit of luck, in 2 days' time, if Zara tweets that again, she'll get her collar felt. But anyway, she is resigning from the Labour Party. She says, "We are not going to take this anymore. We are not an island of strangers." That, of course, is a reference to Keir Starmer's speech a couple of weeks ago. "We are not an island of strangers," she said. "We are an island that is suffering." And she added that the choice will be stark going forwards in 2029, socialism or barbarism. Billionaires already have 3 parties fighting for them. It is time the rest of us had one. Yes, I bet you loads of people are thinking of joining that party led by Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn. Jeremy Corbyn, the politician that time forgot, Magic Grandpa and Magic Zara teaming up to form an important new party. What else does she say? "Today, after 14 years, I'm resigning from the Labour Party. Jeremy Corbyn and I will co-lead the founding of a new party with other independent MPs, campaigners and activists across the country." She means Gaza obsessives, pro-Palestine obsessives. Westminster is broken, but the real crisis is deeper. Just 50 families now own more wealth than half of the UK population. Well, Zara, that's the way the cookie crumbles. And your problem and Corbyn's problem is you just don't get it, do you? Anyway, Zara Sultana has quit the Labour Party. Apparently, Keir Starmer is inconsolable. I'm certainly shocked. What do you think? Good luck, Zara. Christ knows you're going to need it. Right, let's go over to Los Angeles and talk to the great Kinsey Schofield. How you doing, Kins?
I'm good, Kev. Meghan Markle, wildly quiet this week, despite the fact that she allegedly had a really successful wine run.
Well, you know, we were talking about this on my show where we recorded What Just Happened this afternoon, and we talked about this at some length. And it is this. I still don't believe it. I mean, how many other businesses are based on the fact that they've never got any produce available? Oh, we've got a new range of this. Oh, it's gone. It's sold out. Oh, we got some wine. It's gone. It's sold out. Oh, we got some biscuits. It's gone. Sold out. I mean, this company, as ever, seems to be based on the business model of never having any produce available. That doesn't strike me as a good way forward in the commercial world. Does it you?
Or having to, after 2 releases, send emails to your customers apologizing, telling them that they're about to receive a refund because they overcommitted and they don't have enough merchandise to fulfill their orders. They've taken your credit card information. Now you're in their system. But you know what? The product's not coming because they overcommitted. That's happened twice now. With the apricot fruit spread, she's had to say, here's your money back, and I'll inevitably send you a free jar once I actually have it. But there are so many operational errors here that I can't imagine anyone considering this a success. When you look at how many mistakes have been made throughout the process, it's like, well, I mean, shouldn't you first be prepared with enough stock, and B, have at least the stock that you sold to send to your customers And that's after issues with names, not being able to trademark American Riviera Orchard, having to humbly break down and completely rebrand this lifestyle brand that has existed for over a year. I mean, we were talking about American Riviera Orchard wines a year ago.
Yes, we were. I mean, as I say, when she first went into business, when As Ever first cropped up and she started selling her dried flowers and, of course, her famous Scam Jam, and then immediately announced, oh, it's all sold out. It's all sold out. It's so much in demand. It's sold out. You go, oh, well, all right. And then people started saying, well, she did that deliberately to give the impression of demand, to create...
I said that immediately.
Yeah, to create the illusion of demand. But, you know, okay, fair enough. So she did that once. And now every single time, everything that goes on sale, she announces about 10 minutes later, it's all sold out.
Well, if a distribution company thinks they're going to make money off of you, a lot of money off of you, they are going to bend over backwards to ensure that they do everything in their power to do right by you, to ensure that you have everything you need to be successful. This is not a distribution error, in my opinion. I think that it's a combination of being totally inept, a complete lack of leadership, and lying.
Well, I mean, it could well be that. She's certainly, in my view, again, to talk about creating an illusion, she seems to me to be creating the illusion or the delusion of great success, that all this, oh, we've sold out and we're going to have to refund money. It's so successful. No, no, no. This looks to me increasingly like a completely dysfunctional company. You can do it once, maybe twice, but every time you launch anything, you sell out 10 minutes later, then you have to start apologizing, then you have to start promising to refund money. This is not successful business. This is dysfunctionalism, you know, before our very eyes, isn't it?
Yeah, her products have been available for less than 2 hours in the last 3 or 4 months since we've been covering this. Her products have been available for purchase for less than 2 hours. And then we hear whispers that she's changing her white label brands, that she, again, this is her pointing the finger at somebody else, saying it's somebody else's fault. I think dysfunction is a really great way to put it. And we've covered over the last few weeks the body count when it comes to previous Harry and Meghan employees between Archwell Audio, Archwell Productions, the philanthropy side. There is the, well, I told you that I had a former member of their staff from their home reach out to me and say, we are so off on the numbers because on the domestic side, there's a purge, a constant purge as well of people in and out of Prince Harry and Meghan's homes that work for them. And I think the common theme is that Harry and Meghan don't know what they're doing. And I think that As Ever is a beautiful display of that.
Yeah, so again, you know, so she sells out of this wine, apparently, allegedly, which, by the way, you will have to, in America, because we can't get it outside of America. In fact, there's quite a few states in America where you can't even get it. But if you're lucky enough to live in one of the states where Chateau Meg, the rosé wine, is available, she's basically going to charge you $110 because it's a minimum of 3 bottles. They're $30 each, and then there's $20 shipping. So that's a lot of money to expect people to shell out. So that notwithstanding, it immediately sold out, and she puts this on Instagram, still soaking it in, feeling endlessly grateful. Cheers to what's ahead. Well, at this rate, I'll tell you what's ahead, bankruptcy.
She announced another alcohol launch. Did you know that?
Oh, she got another one coming out. What's this one?
So I don't even care. I don't even know. I
Is
didn't
it
even bother
Spirit,
learning
Scotch, or something?
Because I saw that she did that on Diana's birthday. She sent a press release while we're all losing our mind over the fact that this is the same woman that died you know, with an inebriated driver in the driver's seat, and we are all kind of looking at each other stunned. Meghan's team sends a press release to announce not only the success as ever, but to say that there is another alcohol product that's on the horizon, like we care. I mean, the way that we are being hit with new information about her, she does not, I don't think that she comprehends how much oversaturation we're dealing with when it comes to brand, and how it cheapens her and it makes her less special. I don't know if you remember this, and maybe you do because you spent so much time in Hollywood, but at one point, Marilyn Monroe's estate reevaluated what they were doing because she was on every lighter, every post, every calendar. Marilyn Monroe.
Overexposure, in other words.
Overexposure. And this is recently.
The worst crime in show business. The worst crime in show business. This is
recently where Marilyn Monroe's team was like, we have got to get a hold on the brand, and we're going to make it a more luxury brand. So now there are Marilyn Monroe spas, and you can get Marilyn Monroe eyelashes, and everything has so much intention behind it. But 10 years ago, I know you know this, she was everywhere on everything, and it was tacky, like almost a Betty Boop, kind of just too much. The same thing happened with Elvis Presley. Elvis's estate reeled it in and said, "No, we're going to go sleek. We're going to release this movie. And then everything's going to be upscale, high end, because we've cheapened this brand by splashing his face on absolutely everything." Meghan, you're there.
Less is more is the point, isn't it? And she's doing more is more and more and more and more. And here's another thing about her. You know, we've discussed this before, Kinsey, but, you know, unoriginality is her middle name. She never comes up with her own ideas. So rosé, I mean, the last thing in the world that we need is another celebrity range of rosé wines. Here's a few people already in the fame game wine market. Brad Pitt, John Bon Jovi, Kylie Minogue, Sarah Jessica Parker, Dolly Parton. There's quite a few English people over here, Graham Norton, Gordon Ramsay. They've all got their own ranges of rosé. A bit of a crowded market. What on earth does Meghan think she can achieve trying to crash in on it? Because, frankly, I think people will be more drawn to Brad Pitt and Sarah Jessica Parker and John Bon Jovi than they will be to Meghan Markle.
I don't know. Meghan is my favorite day drinker. She threw back quite a few beverages throughout the season 1 of With Love Meghan series. So clearly this is something that she really connects to. Unfortunately, I will probably never forgive her for releasing it on Diana's birthday, because I think that that's just such an example of what a self-consumed human being she is. Because even if we take Prince William out of the equation, her husband is sitting there thinking about his dead mother on that day while she's doing laps around the kitchen and twerking in celebration over the fact that she, quote unquote, sold out her rosé bottles.
Yeah. And of course, also the backdrop of this is we're talking about the difficulty of availability of all of her products. As I say, it's a tune we're getting very tired of. She plays it every single time with every single release of a new product. As you said, the apricot spread is now not available. The rosé wine is not available. But the backdrop to this is people are starting to say, well, what the hell is it, this stuff she's selling us at astronomically high prices? You know, she's got this new nickname, Meghan Markup. So is this stuff homemade? No. Is it even craft produced? No. It's produced in factories. And then she sells it as if she's just plucked it from her back garden, her backyard, you know, and made it herself, and charges you a massive amount of money for it. So people are trying to say, well, hang on a second, she's getting this stuff knocked up in factories on the production line, then acting like it's craft produce, homemade, lovely stuff. This is a con.
I think it boils down to our one biggest complaint about Meghan Markle, and that's authenticity. And this just confirms that lack of authenticity, that she, at the same time as dropping loose fruit spread, she uploads a video of Lily talking about how beautiful this bowl is of jam that her mom's making at home. She wants to give the impression that it's her and her family sitting at home creating this stuff for you. You know, that's why she has a camera in someone else's kitchen while she's, you know, kind of subliminally hawking it on Netflix. The products weren't even available when she initially launched her Netflix TV show, which you just sit back and go, Netflix is your partner. How did they even allow that to happen? But because from a strategy standpoint, stupidity to do an entire show about flower petals and not have the product ready to go right out of the gate. I don't care if it, quote unquote, later sold out. Strategically, it makes absolutely no sense, the way that they unveiled all of this. There's been such a chaos and inconsistency to everything associated with this brand. And it frustrates me to watch her sit and talk to real entrepreneurs and real successful individuals and try to talk to them like they're on their level. And it's like, girl, you married well. You just married well. Like, that's all this is. Because if you look at the trajectory of her brand, it is a roller coaster, and there are probably more lows than there have been highs. And I'd love to know what the return. Yeah. I'd love to know what the return on investment is. I'd love to know if they're actually making any money, considering the fact that every time there's a quote unquote relaunch or restock, this woman is having to send free pots of honey and free pots of apricot spread to people that bought the product that wasn't available to them.
I just don't see how this company can be making money. I really don't. As I say, if you want to buy any of this product and you don't live in America, you can't get it. There's about 10 states in America you can't get it either, so there's a distribution problem as well.
We call those sanctuary states.
Yeah.
Where you can't get it.
Millions of people moving there right now as we speak. I'm off to Delaware because over there you can't get Chateau Meg Rosé.
Well, that's so interesting that you can't get it in Delaware, because the tax breaks are so good that that's where Meghan has all of her businesses registered.
Is that right? That's even more interesting. Now, the other
all of her businesses registered in a state where she can't even sell her wine.
That's funny. Now, the other day we did discuss revelations that the Queen and her friend Lady Elizabeth Anson expressed their doubts.
Her cousin.
Her cousin and best friend. That they discussed. Well, they saw through Meghan. They saw her as a schemer who'd got a clause into Harry. And as Lady Anson said, she's strong and she's bright, and Harry is neither. So that was the problem there. Now, we talked about that. That must be infuriating Meghan right now. But here's
I texted Sally, because Sally's a dear friend of mine.
Sally Bedell-Smith,
Sally Bedell-Smith. I texted her and I said, did you have any idea that you are going to overshadow Meghan Markle's rosé launch? And she said, absolutely not. I'm completely surprised by all of it.
Well,
but I said,
Sally.
well, you did. Well, you did.
You did. Those are amazing stories. But we sort of covered that the other day. What I wanted to discuss with you. So that.
Are we going to talk about the new revelations that just came out about the additional ones about the church and?
Okay. No, I didn't know. But I wanted to ask you about the Bezos wedding and her not getting invited. Let's get to that in a minute. What were you just saying then?
Okay, so there are some new revelations associated with the Sally Bedell-Smith story. One is that one of the Palisades told Sally, nobody could have tried harder for Meghan than we did. 6 months after the wedding, Sally says it became clear that Meghan's opinionated and forceful demeanor had become a serious cause for concern amongst senior royals and staff. One advisor claimed the new Duchess of Sussex wasn't even trying to fit into the royal family and was set instead on forcing her view on Harry, which we've seen that. I mean, we've seen that to this day. I think that we see that in a lot of his behavior today. But one thing that I thought was incredibly, one thing that I could kind of vouch for was in regards to the wedding. The Queen was obviously devastated that Meghan was being so secretive about the dress. And Lady Elizabeth says that the Queen also was horrified that Harry had asked the Archbishop of Canterbury to perform the wedding service in St. George's Chapel without first requesting permission from the Dean of Windsor. And Lady Elizabeth said, Harry seems to think the Queen can do what she wants, but she can't. On the religious side, it is the Dean of Windsor's jurisdiction. That stood out to me for two reasons. A, when I was out there, I went to some fundraising events for St. George's Chapel, and they spoke to us about how the world just assumes that the royal family should be funding them, but they are separate from the royal family. They are their own entity.
Mm-hmm.
So if there's a hole in the roof, they've got to find the $10,000 to pay for it. And so, no, the Queen can't just tell them, even though there's this close proximity to Windsor Castle, the Queen is not in a position to just tell the Dean, you're going to have Harry and Meghan's wedding here. It was Harry's protocol was that Harry was to ask them permission, can I have my wedding here? But I know that this probably stood out to you too. The idea that the Queen should just be able to snap her fingers and the King should just be able to snap his fingers.
That's what Harry thinks, Kinsey.
The BBC interview.
Harry has a misconception. You know me, I love America, I love Americans, but Americans tend to suffer from this misconception as well, that somehow or other the monarch of this country, previously the Queen, now of course the King, actually rules this country and actually makes decisions that govern this country. They don't. They actually have no power whatsoever. They are, of course, figureheads of this state, and we respect them greatly, and we admire them, and we love them, and all that. But they have no power. They do not. They have nothing to do with the government of this country. And as you say, the Queen has about as much power over St. George's Chapel as I do. They don't have any actual physical power. Now, Americans don't quite get that quite often, and nor does Harry. Harry's so thick, so dumb, that he doesn't get it either. He thinks his dad runs Britain. Well, I've got bad news for you, Harry. He doesn't.
Mm-hmm. Right. No. And so that completely stood out to me as something that I believed to be true, that Harry was trying to skip the line or skip the rules, skip the process, just to ensure that they got their way. Because there was a transition. I mean, I did hear at one point that she wanted to be married at Westminster Abbey. And it's like, excuse me, this is not your first wedding, and he's the spare. Yeah. Like, there's absolutely no way that should be your venue. But they inevitably fall in love with Windsor, and there have been continuous reports that she didn't want Frogmore Cottage. She wanted to live inside Windsor Castle, where the Queen lived. And she didn't want the Queen's apartments, but she wanted to live inside Windsor Castle. And I really felt like she was so distraught over the fact that William and Catherine lived inside Kensington Palace and she lived in the cottage behind Kensington Palace with Prince Harry. She was so bitter and resentful over that she thought the solution was she would move into Windsor Castle. But this bizarre entitlement.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, Harry's as bad as her. Real sense of entitlement, I agree. Now, let me just ask you about the Venice wedding. Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez, of course, just tied the knot in the City on the Sea. And, I mean, you know, you had Leonardo DiCaprio, Kim Kardashian, a whole list of celebrities were there.
Orlando Bloom.
Yeah.
Brady.
Now, we understand, I talked about this last week on my show, What Just Happened, that I sort of said, oh, I bet she was furious. That,
well, actually, you and I talked about it first. Yeah, you and I talked about it first on Recollection.
We did. So we understand that she actually was extremely furious that she wasn't on the guest list.
Yeah, so a source told Radar Online that Meghan is reeling after not receiving an invitation to Bezos' and Sanchez's wedding, as she considers herself more famous and important than guests such as the Kardashians. It shows just how much she and Harry have drifted from Hollywood's core social scene, the source said, adding that her podcast and some of her professional pursuits are one of the most mocked in the world, and failed to rebrand herself as a philanthropist. I mean, I think when we talked about it, we were like, there's just no way. Harry and Meghan are no longer on the social chain that is required to be at an event like this. But the more that I researched coverage of the wedding, I also realized Lauren Sanchez did not want anybody there that would upstage her. She specifically said, I want to feel and look like a princess. This, again, is not her first wedding. She had a dress that was nearly identical. Like, if it was a porn star's Kate Middleton wedding dress. It's basically what I would have described Lauren Sanchez's dress as. But she didn't want anybody there that was going to.
Well, she probably just didn't want Meghan there. I mean, Meghan is not exactly.
And as much as I don't think Meghan is a superstar, I do think that there's something so controversial about Meghan that it would have stolen the spotlight from Lauren.
Maybe
Sanchez.
Lauren Sanchez and Jeff Bezos just don't like Meghan. A lot of people don't.
We've covered it here that at one of the Beyonce concerts, Meghan was circling them. It was the VIP area of one of the Beyonce concerts, and I had assumed or predicted at the time that she had not produced a show for Netflix yet. At the time, their only commercial success was the Harry and Meghan docuseries. And I suspected that she was being very nice to the Paramount team and to Jeff Bezos so that there were options in case Netflix decided to drop her and Harry from their roster. So I have seen her pursue relationships with Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez or try to stay on their radar. And I've always assumed that it was because she was trying to climb the social and her own professional ladder.
Yeah, exactly. A last question to you, my normal last question. We've talked a lot about Meghan and what she's up to. Harry doing anything at the moment? Anything at all?
Didn't we just see him at a conference? Oh, yeah, we just saw him at a conference in New York where he said his wife was the most trolled person in the world. But you know what? You got to pick one side or the other. Is she the most successful entrepreneur that keeps selling out left and right, or is she America's favorite victim, Harry?
She's the most trolled person in the world, as if playing the victim card again. Those two playing the victim card is infuriating. You know, one day, Kinsey, we'll have to introduce Harry and Meghan to some real victims. Let them know what victimhood is really like.
Meghan was with people that were starving and hungry and didn't have shelters over her head when Tom Bradby asked her, "How are you?" And she said, "Thank you," because no one's bothered to ask me that.
Nobody asked me. That's because they don't care, Meghan. That's why. But Tom did. Listen, we better go now, Kinsey. I always talk to you for way too long because I enjoy it too much. We're going to be doing the Recollections May Vary, aren't we, next Tuesday? So I'll look forward to that. In the meantime, have a fabulous weekend. Great to talk to you. Goodbye. See you soon. Kinsey Schofield there, host of Kinsey Schofield Unfiltered. Let's go straight to break. Your calls next. We're going to talk about Rachel Reeves crying in the Commons and so much more. So 0344 499 1000. Get on the phone. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk.
I feel sorry for her. I think if you've looked at her facial expressions at Prime Minister's questions now over several months, she looks in a state of despair and as if the job is overwhelming her. In a personal sense, I wish her well. I think she's a useless Chancellor, but one wouldn't want anybody to be that unhappy.
Well, I mean, although she's making a lot of other people unhappy with the planned tax rise, you could argue that maybe if she had done 10 years at the Bank of England as an economist and worked as an economist at HBOS rather than in the complaints department and only 5 years at the Bank of England, maybe she would be up to the job better.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. The floor is all yours for the next 30 minutes. Let's just take your calls. Let's talk. It's good to talk on Talk. I'll read some messages as well. Don't know if we've got any WhatsApp voice notes, have we, Dave? We've got a couple of WhatsApp voice notes to play you as well. In the meantime, though, let's go straight to the phones and let's talk to Chris in Cambridgeshire. Hi, Chris.
As she was crying in the chapel.
No. Let's lots of sympathy. Poor lady. She was very upset.
Kevin, she was, shall we say, like a spoilt child whose arrogance had been on show for a year, who suddenly realised their ivory tower was crumbling.
Yeah, I mean, look, she was crying for herself, she was crying for her career, she was crying for the fact that she's tanked the economy, and she's crying for the fact that Keir Starmer, due to his capitulation after capitulation on the welfare bill, just pulled the rug from underneath her feet, and she knows she's going to have to renege on her promise, her solemn promise not to put taxes out. The only way we're going to...
shame of it.
That's why she was crying. Nevertheless, I don't like to see she was broken. I don't like to see that, but as I said yesterday, I don't like to see women crying. I'm a bloke. It has a bit of an effect. But if I've got to see any woman crying, Rachel will do.
Yeah, the shame of it is she wasn't crying for the pensioners.
No, I know. I get all this, absolutely.
The waspy women and etc. etc.
She's taken some very cruel and ruthless decisions.
To hear of,
you
know.
Yeah.
She's made some incredibly cruel decisions.
I agree with you. I agree.
And she's arrogantly stood in Parliament and backed them up.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got no sympathy for her at all, professionally or even personally. Come to think of it, because of the
Starmer's as bad.
But I don't like. I didn't like to see her like that. But what a mistake she made going into the House of Commons like that. Because when the world saw the Chancellor of the Exchequer, the woman in charge of the British economy, sobbing in the House of Commons, the markets crashed. The pound plunged, the bond market plunged, and the stock market crashed as well. So crying...
It's an even bigger mistake.
It was a huge mistake.
They're now telling about it.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, and now they're lying. Now they're lying, saying it was a personal issue. I don't believe it.
It's a pack of lies, and you can see it.
Yeah. They think we're idiots. They think we're idiots.
Yeah. You know, it's ridiculous.
It was a personal issue. You wouldn't expect me to tell you what it was. Well, actually, I would. Considering she went into the House of Commons and tanked the markets by sobbing in public. It's a personal issue. Wouldn't expect us to tell you what it is. Well, I do expect you to tell us what it is, but you won't. You'll just lie.
Shouldn't have gone there.
Yeah. Oh no, terrible mistake, Chris. Terrible mistake.
That was absolutely right today. You know.
Yeah.
But the worst of it is, it's nothing to the tears that we'll all be shedding if Angela.
Well, you know, this has become a reality. You saw the picture, you saw old Starmer just standing there unaware of what was going on, or allegedly unaware. You got Rachel Reeves sobbing, and then you've got Angela Raina looking like the cat that got the cream.
I saw it live.
Yeah, she loved it. She's on manoeuvres, Chris. She's on manoeuvres.
Yeah, and if she'd had a knife, you knew where it was going.
Yeah. I think metaphorically it had already been plunged into the Prime Minister's back.
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
If she gets in, it will possibly be an even better circumstances, because she'll be even worse than that.
Oh, she will be worse than
If
Starmer.
anything, it'll hasten the end.
Well, we got 4 more years, whatever happens.
I don't know.
What, you think they're going to call an election?
Even make it worse.
You think You think Labour are going to call an election before 4 years?
No, I just think they'll get to. Well, look at what's happening now.
How do we get rid of them?
Look at what's happening with Corbyn and co. I think they're going to disintegrate.
Yeah, but there'll still be the government.
They will, until they start getting votes of no confidence.
Well, even that is not necessarily the end of a government.
No, but you see what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, but look, Chris. I know you're being optimistic. Let me tell you, I just hope to God you're right, but I fear we're stuck with this lot, and careful what you wish for, because if you think Starmer's bad, you wait and see what Angela Raina will be like.
At the same time, I'm wondering if it could be, like I say, if it could hasten the end.
Well, it's possible, but I don't count your chickens. Fingers crossed, but it's very unlikely. Chris, I've got to move on. Good call. Thank you very much. Let's before we go to break, let's quickly play a WhatsApp voice note. It's Tristan.
Hello, Kevin. Tristan in Bedford. Don't believe any of it. Labour are just pathological liars. They're Labour, is what they are. If there was a personal issue, then I'd like to know, considering her sister is another prominent member of the Labour Party, wasn't she crying in the Commons? It doesn't make any sense. Simple fact is that it's getting to a point where they know it's becoming untenable. Keir Starmer can keep lying and keep trying to play the world statesman, is what he's trying to do, but failing at it miserably as our Prime Minister. But no, it's just another lie. That's what they do. They wake up in the morning and they lie and lie and lie. They're just pathological liars. Simple as that. Absolutely disgraceful.
I mean, I tend to agree, Tristan. She yesterday, she's a personal issue. She's absolutely distraught, broken, so upset. Today, she's bouncing around like a Cheshire cat. I was upset yesterday, but I'm great today. Well, if it was a personal issue, can't have been that much, can it, considering her demeanour today? The issue yesterday, 99.9%, I just don't believe it was personal. It was professional. Word is she's had a massive row with Starmer. Starmer had taken the rug from underneath her feet with the welfare bill. She's now left with the impossible task of trying to balance the books when we needed to make at least £5 billion worth of savings from our grotesque welfare bill, and instead of £5 billion worth of savings because of old spineless jellyfish boy Keir Starmer, we're not going to make any savings. In fact, we've added £100 million to our welfare bill, and Rachel Reeves was crying, in my view, because she knows she's going to have to turn round to the British public and say, when I promised you that I would not be raising taxes anymore, you were stupid to believe me, because I'm going to have to raise them. That's why she was crying. She is in a terrible, terrible state. Apparently, she said to Lindsay Hoyle, the Speaker, I'm under so much pressure. Well, you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Of course you are. You can't be doing that. I mean, I do sympathise. I don't like to see a woman cry, but you can't be crying in the House of Commons when you're the Chancellor of the Exchequer. Seasoned political observers and politicians said they've never seen anything like it, and it tanked the markets. The pound plunged because of it. We can't be having this. And also, it would be nice if we can't be having their lies. They're lying their way out of this again. It's so bad, this government, that you're just able to say the Prime Minister's a liar, the government's a liar, they're all liars. Normally, that would be a really controversial thing to say about the governing party of this country. With Labour, it's not at all controversial. People just expect them to lie. How do you know when Keir Starmer's lying? His lips move. Let's go to break. More of your calls later.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Let's play another WhatsApp voice note. This is Mike on the Women of Labour.
Hi Kev, it's Mike from Wigan. What we saw yesterday in the Commons was a great example of sisters doing it for themselves. By themselves, I mean only themselves, and obviously not for the other women in there.
Thanks, Mike. Yes, sisters are doing it. Yeah, because is it Ellie Reeves helped her sister Rachel out of the House of Commons after she broke down in tears. So there's two of them. Anyway, got a very worrying message from Steve in Bury. He says, I can take you on a guided tour of all the shops and restaurants where these girls are being raped in right now. So this adds fuel to the suspicion that the rape gang scandal is far from over, is going on now. Steve's provided some very worrying details. Thanks, Steve. Can't read them all out for obvious reasons, but thank you. Let's go back to the phones. Let's talk to Richard, a new caller in Bolton in Manchester. Is Bolton in Manchester? Anyway, welcome, Richard.
Hello there, Kevin. Great to speak to you.
You too. Bolton's not in Manchester, is it?
Well, it's very close.
All right, okay.
The lady asked me where it's from. I said, yeah.
All right,
a
mate.
lot of calls from the north this evening, so...
Yeah, no, I would love to hear that. Yeah. What do you want to say, mate?
Yeah, so listening to what Keir Starmer's done, which is blatantly lie, and I also consider the office that the chap held, top of our law system in the UK. Mm-hmm. And it just makes me wonder, well, if this guy can lie so easily, and it's very obviously a lie, why can we not pursue him? Why can not somebody pick up this mantle and go for him for telling a blatant lie to the whole country?
Well, I mean, the thing is, Richard, I mean, I take your point, and his penchant for lying, this government's penchant for lying, for gaslighting us, staring us in the face and telling us barefaced lies. It's the way they get out of trouble, out of awkward situations. They just lie to us. But the thing is, and it's reprehensible, it's annoying, it's infuriating, but it's not illegal. It's not illegal to lie. So how can we get him? How can we get him?
I don't know, but I mean, I thought if you were a member of the Law Society, you were not allowed to lie, and that's what he is. And he's not
lawyers
at the top of his game.
Lawyers,
totally,
lawyers are not allowed to lie. It's what they do for a living.
Well, totally, but I think that when we've got this guy at the top of the tree where he is, he shouldn't be doing that. He's setting such a poor example.
Yeah, I don't think it's to do with the fact he's a lawyer, though, Richard. What we should be saying is that he's the Prime Minister, and as such, he shouldn't be lying to the people on a serial basis. This government and this Prime Minister just lie to us every day in every way. It's really, really disconcerting. I keep quoting a piece that Andrew Neil wrote in the Daily Mail about a month ago, and he said that he's been covering Westminster politics for 55 years. He's never seen a lying government like this. He's never seen a government that lies so easily as this one. That's what they do. In my view, they're lying their head off about what happened with Rachel Reeves yesterday. It wasn't a personal issue, was it?
Yeah, and I mean, I listen to Chris, and he's obviously like I am, and like a lot of my pals. I run a small business in Bolton, and I'm scared to death of what's going to go on next year. I employ 15 people, and they're very important to me, these people. Yeah. And we don't make stacks and stacks of money. No. But the way this government is taking us, what is going to happen? The construction industry is decimated in terms of the number of inquiries that my business used to get to where it is.
Is that what your business is? Construction, yeah?
We're in construction,
yeah. So you're a small business, Richard, and this government In other words, you're in the private sector. This government is coming for people like you. They want your money. They want my money. All of us who work in the private sector, particularly small business owners like you, they want your money. They're going to tax you to the hilt. They're going to take your money and give it to the public sector, to civil servants, to doctors. This is the socialist way, and it's a disaster. It's a disaster.
I know. I say it to my own family, Kevin. We've got people who work in the public sector who've retired, same age as me, and they've retired, and there's no way I can retire. And
I know the feeling.
Well, one of the statements to me was, you know, we've got so much money and we don't know what to do with it. That's basically within my own family. And I'm not.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
I just think, if your pension's that big, why is it that big, and who's paying for it?
Because this is the civil service. You know, the public sector is taking us for a ride, and of course the Labour Party is the political wing of the public sector. They just want to take money from the private sector and give it to civil servants, to doctors, to train drivers, you name it. Just take it away from us and give it to the public sector.
Agree.
And that is economic disaster. They should be looking after people like you.
They should, and I think the Conservative Party were no different.
Yeah, well,
they were just a Labour Party in disguise, and Boris Johnson was an absolute disgrace, wasn't he?
Yeah, well, exactly. The Tory tax policies hit me really, really hard, and they're supposed to look after people like me and you. So the Tories were just as bad, Labour are worse. Richard, all I can do is sympathise, and thank you very much for the call. Keep in touch, yeah? Keep calling, mate. That was good. Richard in Bolton, near Manchester, I now know. Let's go to a break and come back in just a minute.
Various Tory Prime Ministers lose their authority, but no one apart from Liz Truss, no one did it in as record time as Starmer. He's only 1 year, it's his 1 year anniversary on Friday, and he's got. There's no way he would have jettisoned all of those cuts if he genuinely thought he wasn't going to lose the vote last night. No one's lost a second reading in the House of Commons since Maggie in 1986 or something about Sunday trading laws. I mean, this is a fairly unprecedented, a complete thumbing of the nose by his MPs.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. By tomorrow at 9 p.m. Here on Talk, there's a special. It's called A Year of Chaos. We're looking back on the first year of Labour. So tomorrow, July the 4th, Independence Day for Americans, for our wonderful American friends. For us, a year it's the 1 year anniversary of this dreadful government coming into power. So we've made a programme, an hour-long special, looking back on, and it's called A Year of Chaos. It features sort of me, Alex Phillips, and all the other presenters, Mike Graham, Julia Hartley-Brewer, Ian Collins, Peter Cardwell, the whole gang, with our own thoughts on A Year of Chaos. That's tomorrow night at 9 p.m. We'll play you some clips tomorrow, mainly with me in it. That's the main thing. No, I'll play you. I might feature, but we'll play the other ones as well. Let's go back to the phones. By the way, Andre Walker and Ash Gould will be in just a little while to take you through from 10 p.m. until 1 a.m. You have been warned. I think Ash will come in to tell you what he's got lined up for your entertainment. That'll be in a couple of minutes. But first, let's talk to Ian. New caller. Great. Love a new caller in Birmingham. Hello, Ian.
Hi, Kev.
All right, mate. What would you like to say?
I'm just a bit frustrated with this entire government.
A bit frustrated. That's one way of putting it. I'm furious with them, but yeah.
No, honestly, they're all as bad as each other, and I'm just sick of listening to, all these political commentators. I'm going to put you in there as well.
Oh, what have I done? What have I done wrong?
No. You haven't done nothing wrong. But
Okay.
it's like. Rachel Reeves, raising from accounts.
Mm-hmm.
The only way she can get some money back now is raising taxes.
Yeah, well, we have been saying that, Ian. I mean, it's quite clear. I think that's why she's crying. She knows that she has to renege on her promise. She's got to put the taxes up.
No, but she hasn't. She hasn't. All she has to do, and Leah Starmer, all they have to do is sit down, and every time one of these little people come over on the channel, from the channel, stop giving them 50 quid, stop giving them mobile phones. That will wipe.
Well, we know about that, but in the last 4 days, 82 million quid's worth of migrants have come across the channel. That's how much it's going to tell them. But what do you think the chances are of them stopping giving them all this money and putting them up in hotels and paying all this money to look after them? What do you think the chances of that?
Well,
zero.
Exactly, but why? Why can't we all get together and just say to all these people that sit in that parliament and represent us, as the UK community, and say no more?
How can we do that, Ian? How can we do that? I mean, I sympathise with your sentiments, but we voted them in. I didn't vote for them personally, but the country voted in Labour. That means you're stuck with them for 5 years. We've only had 1 year. Seems like 20. We got 4 to go. There's nothing we can do about it, Ian, I'm afraid.
But why can't those people who sit in that chamber and just say, right, okay, they'll keep putting taxes up and keep charging us all this bloody money every month.
Yeah.
Just say, right, no more.
Well, yeah, but you're asking them to do the decent and the right thing, and they never do this.
But why won't they?
Because mostly they're idiots, that's why. And they're all scared of their own shadow. They're scared to do anything like turn the boats around in case they're called racists and things like that. You know the deal. And we are so locked in. We've got, 40,000 or 180,000, 100,000 migrants in hotels all over the country, 200 hotels. We're infested with all of this now, and there's not much we can do about it.
I'll tell you what, I would start a campaign. I've got to be very careful here, because I don't want to get locked up,
But what would be your campaign?
Well, I'd just say, just anybody that owns a boat, just go into the middle of the channel and just start sinking these. They come over.
We can't sink them. I mean, we don't actually want to kill these migrants. But we should turn the boats around, and I don't think you can't just say it to anybody. That would be against the law. But I think the Navy should do it, or the Border Force. I agree with you. Listen, Ian, I share your frustration, but I'm afraid we're stuck with this mess, and don't expect this Labour government, or in fact any government, to do much about it unless maybe Reform get in. They've got some serious plans. They strike me as a party party with a little bit of resolve in this area. Other parties, no backbone. Ian from Birmingham, new caller, thank you very much. Ash is in the studio. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I want to join Ian's private navy.
Sink the boat.
Yeah, they take it. If you can't do it, if they can't do it yourself. Tonight on Andre and Ash, we've got a guy, Elliot Sorin. He's a British citizen, but he's also Israeli. He served in the IDF. He was a doctor, an officer. And on October the 7th, he just happened to be up in the morning. His son